tape, bro. Run the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. 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 Run the tape.
The tape.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach in the bench deep.
Right.
Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We doing a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape. The tape.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, we ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape.
The tape. The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
Shut up and grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape.
The tape.
Shut up and grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
Shut up.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You like that? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
The dirty part now. We're good to go.
We're past the dirty part now. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a loaded Film Guide Network. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening here on the show. We got a loaded one for you as always. The NFL draft is in just 2 days, so we have takes to deliver for you guys. We got first overall opinions tonight. We got draft stocks you need to buy. Final QB rankings entering the draft process. Though we are not draft experts, I don't know if anybody's watched college football at a more in-depth rate than we have over the last several years during the career endings of these NFL draft prospects. So we'll go through that tonight. College football players that the NFL just doesn't understand. These are players that we thought were great on the college ranks that we think are going to be really good pros, but the NFL draft process just doesn't quite see them quite properly. And we're going to give you a film preview of Joey Aguilar, the new Tennessee Volunteers quarterback. I got a good rundown of who that football player is tonight for you guys as well, despite the fact that Tennessee fans on my social media feed think I'm just a box score scout. They're going to find out a little bit tonight about the certified ball knower. So we're excited to do that with you guys tonight. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and fire it off in the chat. I want to start tonight's show with this one, man. It's awesome to be named a 5-star coming out of high school. It is great for your brand. It is certainly great for your name, image, and likeness nowadays in the world of college football. But in reality, your draft positioning in the Sunday League, right? That draft that's going to go on Thursday, that first round, that's more dependent upon your development and how you go about your work in the college ranks. And I went and researched all 32 players that are projected to be a consensus, consistently picked inside the first round. And I wanted to see how the recruiting industry viewed those guys coming out of high school. Guys, I do this quite often where I decide a more so research topic than actual show topic, and then I go dive into the research and I come back with some type of observation based off the research. So today's research project was to find out where these guys were, where these 32 consensus, or I should say consistently drafted and mocked first round football players, what they were as high school prospects, and I came back with some pretty interesting details, right? Of the first 32 first round draft picks, slotted draft picks, I should say, 8 were 5 stars, 14 were 4 stars, and 12 of the 32 projected first round picks were either 3 stars or worse coming out of high school. That's right. okay? There were more 3-stars projected to be in the first round of Thursday night's draft than there actual were 5-stars. How does that happen, right? How does it happen? How do you have so many 3-stars outperform their high school rankings? And that's what I want to make this segment a lot more to do with. I don't want to be like, oh, look, only 8 of the 32 5-stars from this class were actually first-round draft picks. I think a 25% hit rate on 17-year-old kids ain't that damn bad. So I'm not here to crack on the industry. I'm more here to look at the success stories, the developmental stories. How did these things happen? How do players like Cam Ward go from a 0-star recruit to being the projected number 1 overall prospect? Those are the stories that we're more interested in looking at tonight. Let's start with Cam Ward. As a high school prospect, a 0-star, okay? Out of the state of Texas, too. Played relatively good high school football out of the state of Texas as a 6'1" prospect. That normally is a 3, 4, 5-star kid. That's normally a Power 5 football player. I do think, though, based off of what I have seen from Cam Ward's high school evaluation and even his Incarnate Ward highlights and even what he did at Wazoo, I think the lackadaisical approach that Cam Ward plays the game of football with, I think it probably scared some guys off with him coming out of high school. And I know this to be true because I watched it happen to Pat Mahomes. Now, it doesn't happen to quarterbacks anymore because Pat has become what Pat has become. But I watched 3 or 4 NFL franchises draft other players like Mitch Trubisky over a guy like Pat Mahomes because they thought maybe Pat was a little bit raw, or Pat wasn't playing within a confined system, or Pat couldn't do some of these things with it. They're wrong. You took the trait. You should have taken the traits. You should have taken the athlete. I think this happened to Cam Ward multiple times over until it's undeniable. It was undeniable at Incarnate Ward. It was undeniable at Washington. Now it becomes undeniable for sure at the Power 5 level when it goes down to Miami. I think that's the track, right? We have to believe it at the highest level before we can actually invest on it. Thoughts on that?
I think that's definitely probably what, the industry misses so many times is because, yeah, it's very easy to measure height, weight, speed. It's even kind of easy to go to these games and measure, okay, this is what X players are going to do, and I see how they play in the game. But the stuff you can't really measure, the work ethic, the heart, all those types of things are honestly what lead to a lot of these quote-unquote industry misses, I think. And it's probably what they missed a lot on Cam Ward. Now,
I want to save these 2 next guys in terms of how high they were slotted in these mock drafts because we're actually going to watch tape on these guys, Armand Mimbu and Mike Green. We'll talk about them here in just a second. Tyler Warren, I understand why he was a 3-star coming out of high school. If you look at his recruiting profiles, he's got an Elite 11 shirt on. Dude thought he was a quarterback coming out of high school, and he wasn't a very good one. But he's 6'6", and he's 230 pounds, and you can see it in high school running like a deer. He playing Teddy Two Gloves quarterback in high school. So we got wide receiver gloves taking the basically Wildcat snaps, and you saw some of that actually pop up on his Penn State tape with the way that their offensive coordinator used him this year. So I understand why that one was a miss on the industry. You're judging him as a quarterback. You have no idea what he's going to be like as a tight end.
Yeah, it's impossible to predict position changes and to say, oh, he's probably going to make a really, really good tight end. He's probably not a great quarterback. I mean, you have to measure him as the player that he is in the position that he's playing. So the Tyler Warrens of the world, the guys that maybe make a position change and excel are kind of understandable.
The one I don't necessarily get from a industry standpoint is how you watch Nicky Manwari in high school at 6'4", 195 pounds and rank him outside the, I think, top 1,300. Wow. Top 1,300, was it, Nicky Manwari? I got the actual notes right here. Where's his name? He's not in the top 16. Let's see here. Nicky Manwari. Yeah, 3-star. Outside the top 1,500 coming out of high school. Now, this one kind of fell into the lap of the South Carolina Gamecocks. I ain't going to lie to you. He's from Columbia, South Carolina, right outside the doorsteps of the Gamecocks building. So I understand why they kept him under wraps, but one thing I guarantee you, I don't fault the industry for this. There is no person on this planet, even the South Carolina recruiting coordinator that found Nicky Manwari, there is no way in Sam hell you could tell me that you predicted Nicky Manwari was going to gain 30 pounds of pure muscle and still run a sub 4.4. There's just no way. There's no way you could have looked at Nicky Manwari at 6'4", 195 pounds in high school and said, yeah, He's going to play at 227 by the time he leaves South Carolina and going to be an even better athlete.
And really, like, his entire career has been that. Like, heading into last season for South Carolina, there was not a whole lot of talk of Nick Emanwari being one of the best safeties in the SEC, let alone college football. And really, even entering the pre-draft process, it wasn't until his combine performance where everybody's like, oh, who's this guy from South Carolina? Yeah. That's a first-round draft pick, but he's played well his entire college career.
Absolutely.
And I think this might be one of those classic cases of everything is there off the field, of the speed, the size, and he probably just did not make enough wow plays. Now, I agree completely. That type of metrics, those measurables, should absolutely be put on other teams' radar. And this is not even just an industry miss; it's like a team's miss.
Yeah.
Like the fact that I don't want to, talk bad about South Carolina necessarily, but the fact that a guy like this with these kind of metrics and this kind of profile went to South Carolina, was only getting offers from South Carolina, is kind of crazy to think about. It's the same thing we talked about a few years ago with Ladd McConkey. Like guys like that, where it's like, how did they fall into the lap of these teams? My biggest guess is that, and I haven't seen the film on it, it just wasn't flashy.
Oh, it was.
High school tape?
I watched it today.
Interesting. That I don't know.
No, it was. I mean, there's clips of him playing deep safety, picking balls off. There's clips of him playing box safety, striking. There's clips of him in the nickel against the number 3 slot receiver, turning and running, dislodging the football. It just, to me, everything that I've read about it, everything that I've done research on it, it seems very, you mentioned Ladd McConkey, it seems very similar to that in the sense that we've got a local kid. Don't you dare tell a freaking soul about this guy. Don't you be calling Andrew Ivins at 24/7 saying, hey man, wait till you find out about this kid we had in camp. Ain't none of that going on. All right, so we were probably trying to keep that guy under wraps. Is probably why he didn't explode as much as he did. You mentioned it. He was a first-year starter at South Carolina. There was no bones about it. The moment he stepped on campus, they were like, this guy's going to be a dude. Turns out to be an absolute freak. Kenneth Grant, a projected first-round draft pick out of Michigan, a 3-star out of high school. And I think the reason being, Jordan Davis messed up all nose tackle evals moving forward because he went on to be a first-round draft pick and he was transcendent at the University of Georgia. And then right after that, you start seeing guys like Ja Jarrett get ranked inside the top 200. Ja Jarrett didn't have any business being inside the top 200, but he was a 6'5", 340-pound dude that ran relatively well, and everybody's like, oh, he might be the next one. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep thinking the next guy is going to be the next one. Kenneth Grant was a previous to Jordan Davis explosion type of recruit. All right, 6'5", 330 pounds, relatively decent mover, but is only going to be able to play shade or zero when he gets to college. We can't rank that guy a 5-star, right? Yeah. 5 stars at the defensive line position are safe for D tackles and edge rushers because that's normally who gets drafted out of that position in the first round of the NFL draft. I think moving forward, as the NFL moves more to a too-high safety look, as the NFL starts to reinvest into big nose tackles, I think you're going to start seeing some of these high school football players who are really, really big, good movers, start to get bumps in their recruiting rates.
I could totally see it. And I think this is kind of the fault that we see within the industry of the metrics and the size alone can make or break what you are as a player. Just from the fact of 2 or 3 inches of height, 25 pounds, and a tenth on your 40 time is the difference between a 3-star and a 5-star.
Yeah,
in some cases.
Or like we saw with Tyler Warren, and like we're about to talk about with Maxwell Hairston, a position change.
Yeah,
right. Maxwell Hairston's a 6'1", 190-pound kid out of the state of Michigan, coming out of high school. That's verified 4.4. Yeah, ends up at Kentucky. Like his only Power 4 offers and only SEC offers are Kentucky and Arkansas. That's a miss, in my opinion. Now, how are you going to project small, slender wide receiver? Maybe he's not even 6'1". Maybe he's actually 6 foot in high school. Very, very small. How are we going to project him into an SEC wide receiver? Well, you're not. He's going to be an SEC DB, and he's going to be a first-round draft pick. So, again, I'm with the industry. Probably missed on that one. However, from now on, any 6'1", 200-pound athlete that's running 4.4, just go ahead and give him a 4-star. Just go ahead and slide that one in there. Agree?
Yeah.
No, you don't agree?
I don't agree with that.
They don't grow them on trees now. 6'1", 200-pounders running 4.4.
They don't, but for every one of these, why the hell was this guy not a 5-star? Because we sit here today talking about how it's a first-round draft pick, most likely.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stories where it's like, oh, well, that guy's transferred 3 times. Now he hasn't started, but damn, you look at the metrics, he was a 4.4 runner. He was 6, whatever. He had all the sizables. I don't know why it didn't work out. I think the main problem of the industry is that the size, and it does matter to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But it relies too much on metrics to determine whether or not a player is going to be great or not.
Did you say that about the college recruiting system or the NFL draft process?
Both, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was setting you up for. It's both.
Yeah.
They lean way too heavy on height, weight, speed.
Yep.
Way too heavy. I get it. It's a trait sport. I understand that. You're either big enough, tall enough, fast enough, but you got to be good enough. You got to be good enough to play ball. Let's move on. Josh Simmons, first-round projection, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Transfer from San Diego State, and you understand why he went to San Diego State. California kid, 6'6", 285 pounds, coming out of high school, not very developed. Goes to San Diego State, turns into a 310-pound freak, goes to Ohio State, plays a couple years, first-round draft pick.
I mean, the definition of what people wanted the transfer portal to be about, and how these are the types of stories that people want to see happen out of the transfer portal, of a kid like that ending up at San Diego State, but then actually developing, turning into a player that school had hoped for, him getting a better opportunity, going to Ohio State, getting in the limelight that he needed, and now is going to be a first-round draft pick. Like, those are the good stories that you like hearing out of these.
Got another one coming up right here. Trey Amos ends up at Louisiana Lafayette out of high school and is so good at Louisiana Lafayette that 2 SEC schools take a stab at him. One, Alabama, never plays there. You understand why. It's Kool-Aid McKinstry, it's Terry and Arnold. It's a really, really deep room. Goes over to Ole Miss, projected to be a first-round draft pick. Now, the interesting thing about him, when I watched the tape out of high school, I understand why the SEC avoided him. Can't run. If you look at him on high school tape, it does not look like he is a twitched-up athlete enough to play corner in the SEC. They let him go to Louisiana Lafayette. He balls, ends up at Alabama. Doesn't play at Alabama, not only because of Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terry and Arnold. I think it's because he can't run. People think this guy cannot run. He's getting knocked right now in the NFL draft process because people think he cannot run. It's lingering with him throughout the process. I still think he's a really, really good player. Physical dog from the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean, the physicality, I think, is probably his best trait. And that's something that gets more and more valuable every day, the more the corners play in the box in the NFL. And the more that, yes, there are going to be times where you're isolated and you're going to have to run, and that's why he's getting knocks that he is. But I think the fact that he is such a physical run stopper, I mean, we've seen Kamari Lassiter thrive in this situation. Now, he's able to run very well as well, but his ability to play the run on defense and set perimeters has really made him excel in his rookie year.
Interesting for Ole Miss to be one of these teams that takes a defensive player and finds something in them, and now their NFL draft capital is not skyrocketing, but certainly has risen over the years. That has not been a school to, and certainly this class is certainly an anomaly for the Rebels, because defensive issues have been a major Achilles heel for Lane Kiffin ever since he got there. But this draft class is just loaded with a bunch of dudes.
Let's see here. Let's continue. Gray Zabel, the only note I got is South Dakota. You end up in South Dakota, you ain't going to be ranked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're a South Dakota high school football player. I don't care if you're 6'6", 320 pounds, you're going to go on to be a first-round draft pick. We just ain't sending dudes up there to scout. That's just not what we're doing.
Probably not.
Okay,
and I mean, it's like South Dakota State has such a stronghold on that recruiting area anyways, that most of those kids, like, you would be better served waiting on them to ball out their first few years at South Dakota State, if they are what you think they are, and just get them in the transfer portal than you are to nab them in the recruiting trail. But other than that.
Oh, my God. He did mean Bo Atkinson, didn't he?
You and I were on the same wavelength.
I'm texting sources freaking the frick out.
Yeah.
Because they're in the mix for Tyler Atkinson.
Yeah. You and I
definitely thought he was talking about Tyler Atkinson. I'm out here sending messages to the damn representation team. Like, what y'all think about this? Because I ain't heard nothing about this. Yeah, okay. Bo Atkinson to Ohio State, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that one for a couple days now. Darius Alexander, this is the most common 3-star story to me. Darius Alexander is a D tackle that goes to Toledo as a 6'4", 215-pound high school defensive end. 4 years later, coming out of Toledo, he's gained 90 pounds. He's 305 pounds and is an All-American defensive tackle, projected to be a first-round pick. That right there, you ain't never going to predict that one. There's no way in Sam hell I can predict a dude's about to put on 90 pounds and do it athletically.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one of one, and that's where I don't think that's where people are like, oh, I understand why you missed on this now. I understand why this is a 3-star necessarily.
And this wasn't even like, hey, he's a wide receiver and we found 80 pounds on him because he just got big. No, this was a high school defensive end who gained 90 pounds to play D tackle. I've heard of we just gonna keep moving closer to the line of scrimmage because we can't stop putting weight on. This is a whole different story.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Anytime if you were to tell someone, oh, this football player gained 90 pounds, you're like, oh, he ate his way out of whatever his aspirations were. Very, very, very rarely would you ever say, oh, no, it was 90 pounds of good weight, and this guy is now going to be an NFL draft prospect because of it.
And like you said, I think stories like this are the testament to more of the development of hey, it doesn't matter where you start, it doesn't matter what you're listed as, you can develop into X, Y, or Z. This is not this is why we need to stop doing ratings. This is why the industry's wrong. Like, you can't predict stuff like this.
Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College. I get it. 6'2 3/4, played all over the field in high school, really slender athlete. Don't really know what you're going to do with him in the New Jersey area. Combine that with all of what I just laid on, he's going to end up at Boston College. He's just not going to get found by Southeastern Conference schools or the rankings and recruiting systems. You're up there in New Jersey, unless you look like Nair Daniels, you're just not going to get a high star rating. It's just the way it is. Now,
I do think that's something we kind of need to talk about, though, is the regionality bias of kind of the quote unquote industry. Like, how many players like that where if they played in South Georgia would be 4.5, 5 stars?
Oh, we got it pulled up right here. Wait till you see this Mike Green high school tape. Mike Green in high school is 6'5", 215 pounds. And I shit you not, it looks like Gabe Harris. It looks like Gabe Harris tape. You Georgia fans watching this right now know Gabe Harris was a top 150 player?
Yep.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school, top 150 player coming out of high school. This kid looks identical to him that we're about to watch. And he ends up at Virginia out of high school, gets in a little bit of trouble, ends up at Marshall. All right, so let's go take a look. I'm with the chat right there talking about my joints would hurt if I put on 90 pounds in 3 years.
Yeah, it's not fun.
This is him right here. And just off rip first look. SEC football player.
Good Lord.
Looks like one. Has no business ending up at Virginia.
What state is this?
This is Virginia high school football. Williamsport. All right, I believe. So it's a relatively populated area of Virginia as well, playing relatively decent high school football, and he looks like a really, really good athlete on tape. I'm telling you right now, if this kid was at Grayson High School, if this kid was at North Gwinnett, he ends up at Kentucky. He ends up at South Carolina. He ends up at maybe Georgia. All right. This is just the regionality, as you mentioned, Kirby, of the sport. I mean, he's multi-positional as well, showing tremendous athleticism and burst. I just don't know how guys like this continuously slide under the cracks. I don't know if it's something that happens as much nowadays as it did 4 or 5 years ago.
It also, I mean, was he rated out of high school as a tight end, or was he rated as an edge?
As an edge rusher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is a lot of tight end film.
It is. And even here, we got high pad level. We're backing up. We're playing raw. I get it. But all of these SEC programs I talk to, all of these Big Ten programs that I talk to, they're height, weight, speed eval guys. And you see stuff like this at 6'3 1/4. All right, 210 pounds in high school, and I just don't know how it ends up at Virginia. No shot at Virginia here. It's just not. It shouldn't be a 3-star is all I'm trying to show you, okay?
4 at least.
I mean, you see the burst.
Yeah.
You see the size. You see the athleticism. You see the profile. You see why it turned into what it turned into at Marshall and, for that matter, Virginia. You can see the twitch when he finally figures out where the ball's going, right? When we start to move towards the ball carrier, that's where we see the electricity that he's going to get drafted off of right here.
Yeah, I mean, this is very clearly a very raw prospect.
Yeah. But you see
the talent and everything else is there.
But you see all of the NFL traits that would make you want to take this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he's not like blowing it up right now, he's not playing with good tech, he's not playing with good fundamentals, but this is what SEC teams do. They take highway speed all the time. I just don't understand why we missed so bad on this one. All right, now I understand why we missed on Armand.
Yeah.
Armand Mimbu, okay, the offensive tackle from Missouri. All right, I have a theory about offensive linemen, and it's going to only be confirmed this next month when I go on my recruiting tour. We grow 6'5", 300-pounders on trees nowadays. They're all over the place. Every school I go to has got at least one. All right, so the idea that the 6'5", or 6'4", 300-pounder from Missouri goes as a 3-star, I understand it. I totally get it because there's 100 of them here in the state of Georgia alone that might connote a 4-star ranking. Okay, there's just an abundance of these types of body types, and the difference between a great one and a good one is very minuscule, okay? But what I want to show you on this tape from Armin is all of the things that you see in his NFL profile that's making him a first-round draft pick, most notably athleticism and foot fire. All right, watch how quickly this dude's feet get in and out of the ground, all right, as he's playing football. This is why this guy is going to be such a high drafted pick, because he's got what we call big man twitch, okay? This dude's got a lot of big man twitch. Yeah, we got a double cake right there. All right, this was the clip I think I remember, right? Look at them feet. Never in the ground.
It's a great
okay? It's a really great rep. You're right, John.
Stance is a little high, though.
Stance is a little high, a little raw, playing Missouri high school football.
This is 4 years ago.
But we out here doing it dirty, all right? We out here playing with high levels of effort as well.
Okay, 83.
Yeah.
I see you, bud.
That's a bad day at the office for that dude. This might be a 90-yard pancake considering how these first clips have gone. Yeah. That dude got up looking for a flag. He was getting bitched so hard. Here you see the athleticism. He's clearly lost weight in college. He's trimmed up the body a good bit because the outside zone clips of him at Missouri are just chef's kiss. I mean, they are as perfect as they can be from an athletic standpoint. I personally... If I had, you said, Brooks, we can only take one outside zone-based offensive tackle. Are you taking Armand Mimbu or are you taking Kelvin Banks out of Texas?
I'm going to go Kelvin Banks.
I am too.
Yeah.
Kelvin Banks is my number one offensive tackle coming out of high school, so I'm a little biased. But I'm a Kelvin Banks guy. I would go here very close second. Okay, if I'm that type of system, if I'm more of a pro-style system, I'm probably going Will Campbell. Do we all agree there?
Yeah.
If I'm a downhill team that plays traditional pro-style offense, no wide zones, no stretch zones, no nothing like that, I'm probably taking Will Campbell. But that was my look. I think the 3-star offensive tackle that turns into a 5-star, I think those are the most frequent storylines of these things that we have. The other frequent storyline that continues to pop up is guys that gain massive amounts of weight in college, that get tremendously bigger. And I do think, as you pointed out, Kirby, I think one of the overall talking points that we have is regional bias. Mm-hmm. I think there's certainly some regionality to this. I know for a fact, doing what I do, that kids in this area are way overrated and way over recruited than they probably should be.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I understand the regional bias. I mean, I feel like at this time, about this time every year, we get the stat of X number of players taking the NFL draft are from the state of Georgia, Texas, Florida, California, and like those 5 states are always usually leading it. So it's understandable as to why there's a kind of a bump to being in the South, or if you're a northern player, one of these not well-known states, you're less likely to be a 5-star.
All right, gentlemen over there, get your hands ready because we're going to start counting.
All right.
Okay, I'm going through the 2022 5-stars list. So these are kids that have played already 3 years of college football, where 5-stars coming out that probably should be, based off high school rating, in this year's first-round draft, right? Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, Travis Hunter, hit. Walter Nolan, hit. Luther Burden, hit. Michael Williams, hit. Now here's what you're counting. Damani Jackson, we're going to call that a miss.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay, Cade Klubnik, I think that's a hit.
Yes.
To be determined.
I mean,
he's got ball out.
He's been a damn good college quarterback.
Started multiple
I don't think
years.
anyone's making fun of the industry for rating Cade Klubnik a 5-star.
No.
Which one looks better? Cade Klubnik the 5-star, Quinn Ewers the 5-star?
Cade Klubnik, in my opinion.
I would agree.
I mean,
I don't think it's not atrocious, so I don't think we should count these.
No.
Okay. CJ Hicks, I'm going to count that one. That's been a miss. He's not been a 5-star linebacker at Ohio State right about now. Harold Perkins.
Kind of set up to be a miss.
Right?
I mean, it's a miss, but it's also like...
A hit at first.
Had a down year because he switched positions and he got injured. Like, it's one of these, like... I don't know.
Right now,
Shamar
it's a
Stewart,
miss.
hit.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Hit.
This is a miss because you probably don't even know the name. DJ Campbell.
I remember hearing that name.
Played at Texas, interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Not going to be drafted in the high rounds. Evan Stewart.
That's a
miss right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. Is there any scenario where he's a first round pick after Oregon this year?
Are we talking just based on draft projection or college career?
Both. He was right. Both right now. It's a miss.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even have a 500-yard season, I don't believe, in Evan Stewart yet. I'm going to call that a miss. Sonny Styles, I'm calling that a hit. It's a 5-star linebacker at Ohio State right now. He's coming back for his senior year. He's going to be a big-time NFL football player. Zach Rice, total whiff. I mean, Mac Brown took him at North Carolina. He's a Virginia kid. Belichick just processed him. He's in the portal right now, and I don't think he's got a lot of options. LT Overton.
Yeah, I mean,
I personally think that's a hit if he's a 2023 kid, which he was supposed to be, right? He's supposed to be a 2023 kid. Josh Connerly, offensive tackle from Oregon, probably a hit. He's like OT5 this year in the draft. Now, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy. Anybody know that name?
No.
Yeah. Texas A&M signee in that 2022 class. Miss. Jeremiah Alexander. Miss. Transferred out of Alabama. Malachi Starks, hit. Travis Shaw, miss. Are you still got our numbers up on misses? Travis Shaw, miss.
we're at like 11 right now.
That's a transfer to
I thought
Texas.
we had 8.
All right. So we're at 8. Jahad Campbell, hit. Connor Weigman, miss. Denver Harris, multiple transfers at corner, miss. Marvin Jones Jr., multiple transfers at edge, miss. Chris Marshall, never heard of him, miss. Ty Simpson, hasn't started yet. Jaheim Singletary, big miss. Oh, my God. Dalen Everett, we'll call it passable, not worth a
I'd say
miss.
it's a hit.
Same as much as Deni Dennis Sutton up there at Penn State. We'll call that a hit. Jaden Lucas, a corner at Clemson. I think he's played.
Yeah.
He's not played at a high rate. I would say if you're a Clemson fan listening to this, you think Avion Terrell's a better player than Lucas. Would you agree?
Yeah,
So we'll call that a miss. Nick Singleton,
Yeah.
I'm fine saying that.
Drew Aller, we'll call it. He hadn't played like a 5-star.
No.
Kelvin Banks, a hit. So how many
14.
misses you got there?
14.
So they're 14 for 30 or 18 for 32. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I mean, that's a
Over 50%.
I think that's the key. If you're an over 50% hit rate as a 5-star, I think you've done a pretty good job as an industry. I think it's too damn hard to expect perfection.
yeah. I mean, that's about on par with what you get in the NFL draft of first round players that are selected end up being worthy starters. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine to be in that, and I think that we have to remember that as analysts, like these rankings and these stars are literally just based off of a handful of people within certain companies reading metrics, like I doubt the majority of people grinded film on every single one of those players.
Yeah.
So it's all projections.
That's my overall thought, number one. No one can predict or project how much you're going to work.
Yeah.
Not going to work out. I'm talking about how much are you going to put in the work. No, I can't project that.
No.
Now
You also can't project luck.
I do feel like some of the guys that I've had relationships with in the high school ranks, I kind of know who's a grinder and who isn't. I can kind of sniff it out on you pretty quickly. It's not hard, like the Caleb Downses of the world work extremely hard, sticks out like a sore thumb everywhere you go. The Michael Williamses of the world, the Malachi Starkses of the world. Okay, all of those guys that I've been around, it's like no doubt you're going to hit. There's no doubt you're going to be a success. All right, NFL Draft starts Thursday. As you guys know, who would you take first overall if you were the Tennessee Titans? Who do you got?
You gotta go quarterback there.
Right? Here's my thought process.
Yeah.
Mike Borgonzi is their GM, first-year GM. Okay, he was a 15-year assistant GM, I believe, for the Baltimore Ravens, and now has his first opportunity to be a general manager. And I believe you're tied to the success and the failure of that quarterback that you draft no matter what. If you draft this quarterback 1/1, your job will only last as long, most likely, as his success. If he's a flame out, you're probably going to be a flame out. But if you're tied to it, right, you're tied to it most likely for the extent of his rookie contract. So if I draft a quarterback, good, bad, or indifferent, at 1 overall, I probably get to see out the life of his rookie contract. Would you agree or disagree?
In most cases, you would assume that'd be the case.
Most cases. So that's the good news. If I draft him, boom, I buy myself 4 years at least off rip. So I think I'd do that anyways. But here's the reason why I do it. If I don't draft him, I'm tied to his successes anyways. If I pass up Cam Ward 1-1 as a Tennessee Titans GM, I got to go watch another year of Will Levis. Let's say I draft Abdul Carter, all right, and Cam Ward goes 2 overall to Cleveland Browns, and he is Rookie of the Year. He has a Jaden Daniels-esque year. I'm fired as a GM, or people are looking at me hella weird down there in Tennessee and Nashville in my first year.
Typically.
All right? But if I draft him and he sucks, we'll just wait it out. He might be good next year. He's a rookie. Give him time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the plight of being the number 1 overall pick, and it's one of the most undesirable situations to be in, because let's be honest, even if Cam Ward is a very, very, very good quarterback in the NFL, it's not going to fix the issues that the Tennessee Titans have. There's multiple things that are wrong with this organization right now. So, again, it is why you kind of... It's a catch-22. The only way this works out great is if Cam Ward is so damn good that you can build a team around him, Joe Burrow style. Because, I mean, let's be honest, the Tennessee Titans are in a situation where you're not a quarterback away from being a playoff team.
So are you of the belief that you should just suck for another one and draft somebody next year? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I wouldn't draft a quarterback.
Here's my deal about that thought process. If my GM told my fan base, our plan is to suck good enough to maybe get the guy next year, I don't like that plan.
Okay, well, but here's my thing is, first off, if I had the first overall pick, I would be taking Travis Hunter. That's just me. That's who I would be taking. That feels like the most secure. That guy could be something special. That guy could very well be a Hall of Famer at the end of it. Plus, on top of that, you could get Travis Hunter in this draft, and even if you do suck, say you get another top 3 pick next year, you could be picking from the likes of a Lenore Sellers and Arch Manning or whoever else is in that, Kate Klubnik or Drew Aller if he has a good year. I feel like, and I know we do this a lot with the quarterback draft class, like we project and say next year's class feels a lot better than this year's, and it doesn't always unfold that way. I know we did it with last year's draft class, so I understand all of those things, but that's just kind of my thought process of I would be making sure that I hit my first overall pick more than anything, and Travis Hunter feels like the best option to be a hit.
I would trade it back. I would get as much capital as you can to build for the future, because that way you can kind of avoid the stance of, what do you mean we're not picking a quarterback? What do you mean we're not, trying to be good? Oh, we're building for the future. I would say realistic Tennessee Titans fans know right now that Cam Ward, even if he's that good, is not going to save your franchise.
I'm with Jonathan in the sense, and I wonder your thought process on this as well. If it's not Cam, is it Travis for you?
I would probably say that or Abdul Carter. From the star
right?
power, put asses in seats, I'd go Travis Hunter.
Look, 1-1. I think Abdul Carter is going to be great, but we just came off of shoulder surgery and we just came off foot surgery.
Right.
And I don't know if you're going to be ready come August to be the best version of yourself. And oh, by the way, you've played 1 year as a traditional edge. Yeah. So all of the growth potential we expect from Abdul Carter, if he's transcendent, it's probably going to be in year 2, year 3, year 4. And by then, people are looking at us hella funny as a GM staff anyways down there in Nashville. I'm drafting the quarterback because I'm not watching another year of Will Levis.
That's fair.
I mean, that is a
quarterback that's
very
available.
valid take.
Who?
Might be in Atlanta right now.
Oh, you think they're gonna trade for the Cousins?
I'm just saying he's available.
There's another one.
I thought you were gonna go Rodgers.
I was say he's probably high off ayahuasca right now.
Yeah.
Oh no,
you can go get him.
He's gonna retire, right?
Cousins?
Rodgers.
Oh,
Cousins is already mentally retired. Lying about your health status last year kind of lets me know you're worried about getting cut.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he lie or did he not tell the truth?
He's not even a thought in my mind. And neither is Aaron Rodgers, to be honest. That guy doesn't cross my mind a second of any day until
I think
now.
the Falcons went off of Kirk Cousins too quickly, but we can have that's a completely different show.
Cam Ward.
Travis Hunter.
I would trade it, but if I had to pick a player, I'd take Travis Hunter.
Really? Why are you guys so out on Cam Ward?
Do you honestly, sitting here right now, believe in your heart of hearts that Cam Ward is the type of guy you build a franchise around? It seems like this is one of those years in particular where we get to the NFL draft and it's, we kind of just need a quarterback, and he just so happens to be the most talented, most raw, and it absolutely could work out.
This is how I feel about whether or not Cam Ward's going to be transcendent.
Yes. Like, what is his...
It's coin flip, brother.
Yeah, I wouldn't...
It's coin flip. I don't know.
What is his, top player attribute? What is it?
Creativity and arm talent.
Creativity
and arm talent.
There's one or two guys that
and general confidence
excel at creativity in the league, and I don't think Cam Ward is the style that does this. Patrick Mahomes, and there are no other Patrick Mahomes in the league, and maybe Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. And Josh Allen had a big turnover problem coming up early in his career. And Lamar Jackson, I think we also can agree, is a one of one. Cam Ward is not athletically Lamar Jackson. That's why I'm backing off of, because like this idea that Cam Ward's a transcendent player, he's not Lamar Jackson, he's not Josh Allen, he's not Patrick Mahomes. Like, if Cam Ward's going to be as good as Cam Ward's going to be, he has to be transcendent, and I don't see any of the traits that he has to do that.
I like Cam Ward as a prospect. I just don't know if I like him at number 1 overall. I like him as QB1. I think he is the best quarterback in the class. But sitting at number 1 overall and
don't take that conversation too far, because we've got spinoffs on that, like this right here. I have my final QB rankings for you guys, and I only ranked 3. All right, I ranked Cam Ward, and I gave him a top 10 overall grade. He's going to go 1-1, and it's over-slotted, in my opinion. I've got Jackson Dart as a top 25 prospect. He's slotted right now somewhere inside the top 18. There's rumors that he could go as high inside the top 10.
And people saying the Saints are going to take him.
I don't love that, okay? I don't love that evaluation of that football player. I think that's a trade into the back end of the first round and draft him and get a fifth-year signing bonus on that guy. I feel the same way about Shedeur Sanders. I do not think Shedeur Sanders should be drafted inside the top 5. I don't, okay? It comes with way too high expectations. You draft him 28th, 29th, 30, 31, 32 overall, I think your fan base is a little bit happier and doesn't expect him to automatically play like Jaden Daniels did last year. That's the other thing, messing up all these damn cues.
Yep.
Okay, we got Jaden Daniels coming in and balling. We got Bo Nix coming in and balling. We got Caleb Williams coming in and blaming everybody else around him. Everyone thinks these freshmen or these rookies should come in and ball nowadays, and that's going to hurt some of these guys' expectations.
Well, not just that. There's been a weird trend where guys have great rookie seasons. There's a rookie pop, and then we kind of see a sophomore. C.J. Stroud is a perfect example of this. Everyone was shitting on the Carolina Panthers last year because of what C.J. Stroud ended up being his rookie year and what Bryce Young was. And you could make the argument that right now, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are kind of on level based on what the improvements Bryce Young showed last year.
Breaking news, have to stop the show. Boys, guess who just joined TikTok?
I don't give a shit.
Dan Lanning.
Wow.
Cool. Welcome.
This is just for me to allow the flex that he's in my contact book, because it says Dan Lanning from your contacts is on TikTok.
Good for Dan.
Welcome to TikTok, Coach.
I hope he posted
now
nothing.
I got that drip, and now I'm on TikTok. I hope I get one of them Dabo Sweeney type cringe videos.
I would be shocked.
I hope it's just videos of him smoking cigars in his office.
Those are my only first round grades. Number 4 says none. Now, OLIs, guys I would take after day 1. What you giggling about?
He forgot to turn the camera.
Oh.
I was answering.
OLIs, guys I'm taking after day 1 that I feel good about. Number 1, Tyler Shuck. I like that. I think he's got some elite arm talent. And by the way, like banged up injury concerns. But guys, how do you feel about broken bones? Those freak things? Or do we just need to drink more milk?
Both.
Like if I told you dude's got 2 fractured clavicles, dude A's got 2 fractured clavicles, dude B's got 2 soft tissue injuries, which dude are you taking?
How could it to do with fractured clavicle?
I'm going with the broken bones.
I don't want any soft tissue.
I don't either.
Deals.
Right? If we have a consistent
but then again,
trend of soft tissues, I'm staying away. If we have a consistent trend of maybe I just get hit a little too hard and my bones need to get denser, I think we just teach you to slide.
I'm saying there are also examples of players that like talk about, especially in the shoulder area, like get hit in the clavicle, get hit on the collarbone, and say I was never the same after that. So, the clavicle might be the one area where I'm like, oh, if it's a broken leg or a broken foot, like whatever.
If my team drafts Will Howard, late third, early 4th, I'm not going to be mad.
No.
6'4", 225, serviceable backup, smart, got a lot of playing experience, can put him out there and design a quarterback run game if we feel like he's a little bit, unprepared or not ready for the moment. Would you be mad? Well, you would be because you're a Falcons fan. Would you be mad if the Raiders drafted Will Howard in like the 3rd or 4th round as Aiden McConnell's backup?
Geno Smith.
Oh, my bad. Geno Smith's backup.
Not at all.
Honestly, a good little comp for him.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
I'd be a little mad. And I'm not speaking as a Falcons fan when I do these things. I'm just speaking in general terms of like any NFL team.
You just got that Falcons stench to you.
I understand that. It's very easy to pick out amongst us. But I wouldn't want my organization using a 3rd or 4th round pick on Will Howard to be a backup quarterback. Like, I would rather find value anywhere else, knowing that Will Howard could very easily be on the board in the 5th or 6th round as well. Like I saw the latest NFL mock draft I looked at, I think he was all the way in the 6th round.
I mean, Will Howard at 3 is a little rich, but I'm not mad at taking a guy that you think has the potential to one day take over your franchise if you give him 3 or 4 years of being a backup.
Yeah.
Like we've seen this multiple times through, and obviously the Green Bay Packers are our best example of this. Now they draft in the 1st round, but
I mean, this is the range backup quarterbacks get selected, 3rd to 5th round.
Yep.
The only backup quarterback I've seen in years prior that was drafted in the 2nd round was Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. They drafted him like 35th overall with Carson Wentz still under contract. Other than that, it's always 3rd to 5th range trying to get that backup. So it would be the slotted range. I'm with you, though. 6th round is normally kind of where he's at. I think people are going to elevate that and because of draft need and positional need. Now, who are some do not touches for you? Who's a quarterback? There's no way in hell you could be convinced to draft him.
Hennigan, probably.
Really?
Yeah. I would put I thought Dylan Gabriel was going to be a surprise. His NFL Combine performance really made some people push off of him. I saw him in the 7th round in the mock draft I looked at, but that'd probably be one I would stay away from.
You know who mine is, so don't take it.
Do I know who yours is?
You should. You've been on this stage all year. You should know.
All right, well, I'm going to go Jalen Milroe.
That was mine. But you can go Quinn Ewers.
I thought you were going to go Will Howard.
Oh, no, I already did Will Howard as a draft on day 2.
To be fair, I've been
do not touch. No chance. No chance I'm drafting Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
0 chance.
Not in the first 3 days. If he falls to the 6th round, it's
First
like,
3 days. First 2 days.
First 2 days. Excuse me. Yes, first 3 rounds. If he falls to the 5th or 6th round, you're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's take a stab at this and let's see what happens with it. That's fine. But
he's going to be in Green Bay. He's going to the 1st round. Huh? Yes. Jalen Milroe has accepted an invite to the NFL.
I mean,
buddy, I don't care if they gave me an invite. I ain't going to Green Bay. Screw that. Who wants to go hang out in Wisconsin?
I apologize to my cheeseheads listening to today's
No hate
show.
to the Green Bay Packers fans.
I apologize. Guy's just an angry Falcons fan for what Greg Jennings and them Aaron Rodgers boys did in that 2012 playoff game.
Oh, don't you worry. We got our revenge.
He's just mad about that.
I
was there front row. Good football game.
They remember what Julio Jones did to them.
Yeah, I remember them going on and winning the Super Bowl, though. You got any memories of that?
Devontae Freeman and Kyle Shanahan. That's all I'll say.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Who is worth a 1st round pick at quarterback? I know we've kind of already hit this, but what do you think is actually deserving of
it? It depends on what you're looking at. Like if you're in the we need a quarterback right now. It's name a player.
Yeah.
If you're one of these teams where it's like we don't need one right now, but we might need one in 3 to 4 years. Let's draft a guy that we can develop. I think there's a handful. I think that, Will Howard might fall into this. I've seen some areas where even Dylan Gabriel is ranked inside the back half of the 1st round. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but I would say that Will Howard, if he gets there, and honestly, 3 months ago before he blew up on the spot, I would have said Jackson Dart is this. And then I think teams kind of started figuring that out and saying, oh, you know what? Jackson Dart's QB2. So it's so hard to decide because I feel like there's always such a cutoff of, these are the 1st round guys, and there's this is the rest of them. But I don't know if there's anyone else that would kind of sneak into that 1st round. It's not like last year where it was, well, maybe Michael Penix is a 1st rounder, maybe Bo Nix is a 1st rounder.
That's kind of where I wanted to lead the discussion into, is if you took this year's quote unquote 1st round crop of quarterbacks, right? Ward, Shador, and Jackson Dart, and you threw them into last year's draft class with guys like Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. Where do these 2 guys go? Or where do these guys go? Because I don't think any of them get drafted other than Cam Ward in the 1st round.
Yeah, no, Shador's not a 1st round pick. Jackson Dart's not a 1st round
quarterback class. Jackson Dart's not a 1st round draft pick in that class.
I'd probably say Cam Ward ends up right behind Michael Penix.
That's where I've got him slotted. I've got him slotted QB5 in that group, in front of J.J. McCarthy and in front of Bo Nix. Now, we get to have a lot of hindsight right now because everybody saw what Bo Nix did last year as a rookie with the Broncos, and you're like, these guys are idiots. They still have him 6th. In a vacuum, knowing what we knew out of them out of college, I would have taken Cam Ward ahead of J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix.
Yeah, I would have definitely taken him ahead of J.J. McCarthy. There's such 2 different prospects, though, because Bo Nix was kind of He's not going to wow you, but he's going to be so consistent and so accurate in the places you need him to, whereas Cam Ward is the creative, but it also is like that same creativity gets you in so many shitty situations.
You just described Bo Nix at Auburn.
Right, but I think we can agree that the Bo Nix Auburn experience
Two totally different football
very different
players.
from Oregon.
Yeah, two totally different football players. I didn't wash the Auburn stain off of him before the draft, though.
I don't think anybody
did. That's
did,
fair.
except for Sean Payton.
Sean Payton was the only one that washed the Auburn Tiger stink off of him. Because the tape there was very inconsistent.
Yeah.
It was sporadic is the word I would use. Almost frantic at times. College football guys that the NFL draft just doesn't quite understand. I think the poster child for this year is my boy, the Amish King, Cam Scatterbo, is definitely the version of that guy was a demon in college football, but the NFL just might not love him.
I'll stay with the running back room. I think Dylan Sampson is one of these. Nothing about Dylan Sampson being a third-round draft pick makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I understand Ashton Genty is the headliner of this class, and it makes complete sense. That is who should be RB1 in this group, and he should rightfully so be a first-round draft pick. But, I mean, Dylan Sampson dominated at Tennessee. This is a guy that played multiple years. He finished with 2,492 career rushing yards. He averaged over 5.9 yards per carry over his career. They said that he ran a 4.42 at his pro day. Everything about this guy to me would say this is typically one of the first running backs off of the board. He was the best running back in the SEC last year. I don't understand why he's falling, and I do understand, but I don't at the same time.
Yeah, you get over
Dying over here.
Easy now.
It's indigestion.
Oh, that sucks. I went with Billy Bowman, Oklahoma safety. I feel like he's kind of the quintessential star nickel.
Love me some Billy B, baby.
Yeah, I feel
Billy
like
B.
he's kind of the quintessential star nickel safety model type that you have right now. He's got the frame for. He's a 4.4 runner. He plays the ball really well in the air, but yet he's getting round 3 grades at best. Like I think the most recent mock draft I saw was the Jaguars taking him in round 4.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Now, I don't think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker, but he's a starter, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of in the same vein of what Tyke Smith has been for Tampa Bay.
I like that. How about Jack Sawyer?
Mm-hmm.
Jack Sawyer's going to be like a late second, early third round pick.
Yeah.
Former 5-star. Played really, really good football at Ohio State for 4 years. And I thought played his best football towards the end of his career.
Absolutely.
But I get it. Not a twitchy athlete. Going to have to win with brute strength on the NFL level. Why can't he be the Hendricks kid from Cincinnati? Who's the dude that's holding out right now? Trey Hendricks?
Trey Hendricks.
Yeah.
Hendrickson? Why can't he be that?
I don't know.
That's a great question.
Like an 8.5 sack guy that's an elite run defender. Why can't Jack Sawyer be that?
I would say there's nothing right now that say he can't be that.
There's no reason he can't be.
Like a lunch pail Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a real Gruden grinder Aiden Hutchinson.
I like it.
I like it.
I have Malachi Moore as one of these football players. I mean, this is started for 5 years at Alabama. I mean, as soon as he got onto campus, this guy started 11 games. The only reason why he didn't start the full season is because he had an injury at the end of the year. This is a Nick Saban stamped guy. He was there during the end of Nick Saban's tenure. He was a big player for Alabama defensively last year. I mean, for 5 years, this was a focal point of Alabama's defense in the SEC, and he's currently being projected as a 5th-round draft pick. He's a bit undersized, so I understand why NFL teams are kind of staying away from him in the first half of the draft, but any guy that can be a dude in the SEC for that many years and start that many football games at Alabama, I like a lot.
I like this guy too. What if I just described to you in a vacuum a linebacker that was 6'4", 245 pounds, went to the NFL Combine, ran in the 4.5s, and started 3 years in the SEC and was a bona fide dude every single time you turn the tape on.
I love everything about it.
I do too. Good. His name's Danny Stutzman, and I don't understand what the hell's going on in this draft process. I don't know where Danny Stutzman. Will you look up his NFL mock draft database for me right now? If he's outside the top 100, the whole system's fraudulent. I mean, I just don't understand why Danny Stutzman is not getting the love that he should. I was expecting the dude to go to the combine run for something in the 4.7s. He went 4.5. and look damn good doing it. What's he drafted at right now?
113th.
113th. Goofy shit. That's a guy's a 3-year starter in the SEC and was one of the best linebackers in the conference.
I love Danny Stutzman this past year for Oklahoma.
Hell yeah.
Everything Venables was doing with his defense felt like it was centered around what can we do with number 47?
Yeah, he was definitely the focal.
27?
28.
Or 28, whatever.
He wore 20.
Whatever his number was. They were doing it around that
Everything
guy.
around him.
Here's what I don't get. We spent the first 30 minutes of the show talking about how the industry is a metrics based, it's a size based, all of these can you run based. Mello Dotson fits this perfectly. The Kansas cornerback, he's 196.1. He runs just over a 4.5, which is kind of what you get in those NFL corner ranges. I mean, obviously there's some that are in the 4.4s, 4.3s, but it's a playable speed. And he plays the ball very well in the air. He's physical in the run game. He's getting round 4 through 6 grades. I don't understand that one personally.
And you'd think he'd be getting looks because Kobe Bryant's the other corner. You talking about the Kansas kid?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant's the other corner getting first-round projection.
And he's the undersized one. Kobe Bryant's like 175.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So I don't know.
I'm with you there. How about Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame? Talk about a damn ball player, dude. That guy moves first, no matter what. Moves first. Don't think he tests very well. I think that's why he's sliding a little bit. Not as physically gifted as some of these other safeties that are available, but a damn good player.
Obviously, Malachi Starks and Nick Emanwari have completely taken over the safety class. So watching those guys at the NFL Combine, then watching Xavier Watts, it makes sense why NFL teams would maybe be hindering away from that one. But a really, really good football player. This one to me makes no sense whatsoever. When I saw that he was projected to go in the 7th round, Ricky White.
Yeah.
Don't understand that one at all.
Not as good of a year 2 at UNLV, or I guess that would be year 3, as it was last year. I think there was some decline in production.
Still put up over 1,000 yards.
Still put up over 1,000 yards.
Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons.
And never left. Showed loyalty.
Yeah, man.
Like in a world where nobody does.
That might be that example of like the UNLV stank is kind of on you, where it's like, yeah, you did great, but you did it at UNLV, and you had, why didn't you, and I'm sure this was probably a question in the interview room, why didn't you transfer out if why didn't you go to one of these bigger schools? You would have had to imagine they were offering you raises and things like that. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying I think the industry, the NFL is missing on this, but I'm buying stock in this guy. I'm buying stock in Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah.
Like the last 5 receivers taken in the first 2 rounds from Ohio State.
Will you give me his mock draft database, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison. Name the miss there. Like, those guys are arguably all the best wide receivers on their team. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying Emeka Egbuka is obviously, on par with these as far as college career goes, but Ohio State receivers that are taken in the first 2 days seem to really flourish. I'm buying stock in that guy.
He's the definition of borderline first rounder. He's projected 33rd.
Do you like his stock right now coming out of Ohio State more or less than Ladd McConkey coming out of Georgia? Both of them were slotted right there.
Yeah, I feel like this is a biased question.
I'm asking you to put bias aside. I know you love Ladd. Because if your answer is Emeka, it's Emeka by a mile because you have bias. You see what I'm saying?
Here's my problem, though. I loved Ladd McConkey. I thought his skills would translate to the NFL. My biggest red flag was injuries.
Yeah.
My biggest red flag with Emeka Egbuka is, why did you take so long to go to the NFL? Why were you still hanging around? Now, I get it. You had opportunities and you're now a fringe first-round receiver, but I would probably say it's Emeka Egbuka.
I can't recall who told this story. I want to give it credit, but I can't remember who it was. But there was an ESPN personality, football player, not a color commentator, not a play-by-play guy, that was sitting down with Ryan Day, and this was Emeka's freshman year of college, and said, "Hey, coach, of all the players that you coach right now, who do you see in 25 years being a college football coach?" And he said, he just got here, but I haven't been around a football player that's as smart as Emeka Egbuka. As a true freshman, he'd been there like 6 weeks.
Bam.
I guess going back to the original question is, I think Egbuka is best as the second wide receiver.
Yeah, wide receiver too.
Second best wide receiver. Whereas Ladd, he kind of showed promise as like, this guy could be your number one option in an offense and he'll be just fine. Now, I know it's hard to remove hindsight given that he had a really good rookie year in the NFL this past year. But both, I mean, you can't go wrong with either one.
Did anybody get that Texas superstar that I told you guys about pre-show? Did anyone put that on the list?
Oh, Andrew Makuba?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about that one. Because the chat's already hit on it.
Both times that he played Georgia's here, because that's the 2 times that I got to watch
Dude,
him.
The first pick is insane.
Gosh. I mean, just a playmaker. And that's what you want in your secondary, a continued playmaker. And he made plays consistently against their best opponent.
Is Epic Pen available?
We can get it pulled up.
We don't even have to worry about it. I'll try to explain it with my mind. He's playing a low hole safety spot. They show too high the first interception of the game. They roll Makuba into the box. He sees play action, turns his head around immediately, finds the deep over, covers 20 yards of ground, high points the football and intercepts it. And then damn near kills Gunnar Stockton at the end of the season, striking at like 165 pounds, soaking wet. He's not a very big football player.
No, he's
not. But man, if he don't play big, he plays huge.
Unbiasedly, that should have been a targeting penalty.
Yeah, probably.
But either way.
Probably.
But no, I don't get that one. I think this is again, the only justification I make to that is pointing to the faults of they rely too much on size, speed. Like there's sometimes you just have to watch the tape and go, that's a baller.
Yeah.
And every now and then they do it. They did it with Baker Mayfield. Everyone had red flags about his size. Everyone raised red flags about even his character. Was just like turn on the tape and watch him play. And I would say that Baker Mayfield could have absolutely been a major success story for the Cleveland Browns had they not shipped him off. He's been, I would say he's been worthy of a number 1 overall pick.
Oh man, Dogsman SC, don't say this in public. I thought Ladd McConkey would be just a little, quote, zone hole finder like Welker and Edelman. But he's a little more than that. Yeah, take a shot. White on white crime right there. Take a shot.
Very Xavier Restrepo-y.
Yeah. Very Danny Amendola-ish. You know? How come it's never Nate Burleson? You ever notice that? It's never Nate Burleson.
Why is it never Scotty Miller?
It's never Andrew Hawkins.
I can tell,
it's never Tyler Lockett.
I can tell you why.
Why? I got another one for you. Last one. You guys got any more?
No.
Kyle Williams. Now, I found Kyle Williams studying a little John Mateer from the ear tape out there at Washington State. Kyle Williams is a damn dude. War number 2 at Washington State last year. I think he would be a high-end draft pick if he were just 6'1". Because he's 5'11 and a half, went to the combine, ran 4.4 flat. Just not, quote, big enough. But the dude routes up, got great hands, great after the catch as well. I think he's going to do well in the league. I've got notes. We're pushing up on the local, but I'm good. I got notes right here, and they're exhaustive on this Tennessee transfer, Joey Aguilar. You want these? Mm-hmm. This is a film study coming out tomorrow here on the network, okay? And I want to – I think it's a good thing for Tennessee. Now – you're going to have to coach out some things, but I think you got a damn good football player here. First and foremost, this dude's going to feel like he went from preparing for a calculus final to learning basic algebra. That's what the offensive systems are going to feel like for this guy. He went from a system at App State that is, I mean, it looks almost identical to what Texas does. They're in the pistol. They're turning their back to the defense, play action, turn my eyes back to the defense after putting the ball into the belly of the back, and full field progressions. We're going to read number 1 to number 2 to get to the check down to then scramble. Like a full-on pro-style real offense. And I shouldn't have said real because Tennessee fans are listening to this and they're going to hate on me. To now pick and stick, half field choice, wide receiver choice offense at Tennessee. The idea that we're going from I'm turning my back to the defense, reading full field progressions, where's the middle of the field safety, did they change coverages on me, to now, okay, they got grass. We're going to throw it over there off the read option. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a total different offense and a much easier responsibilities and progression for the quarterback in this system, and it's going to lead to a lot of I think a lot of easy transition for this guy. We're going to go from full length terminology to now red 5. Red 5 is this play, and this is how we run red 5. It's much easier for an offense or for a quarterback to go from one very lengthy system to now this. All right, I think that's ideal for this kid. Should be easy system to pick up. Hard part for me And any Tennessee quarterback is building rapport with your wide receivers because it is called a wide choice offense, which means the wide receivers have a choice in terms of what route they are going to run based on leverage and average depth of the guy designed to cover them. What are you going to say?
I think it's also important to note that, the material that you're taking is become a lot easier for the test, but the environment in which you're taking a test now has gotten significantly harder.
Yeah. Talking about just in terms of the style of play, like who's out in front of you. The people
like going from App State to the SEC is a big jump.
In layman's terms, it means every play has a different route versus different coverages and leverages. That's what Tennessee's got going on right now. I feel like that was the biggest issue between Milton and his wide receivers when he actually had them. Milton had decent weapons, I felt like. They just couldn't get on the same page, ever. Could never get on the same page. Nico's weapons, I think, had a little bit of deterioration last year. We've talked about that ad nauseum on here. Now, the biggest question for a quarterback that's getting selected to come play in Josh Heupel's system, in my opinion, is one category. You better have a chooch on you, Bubba. You better be able to throw the damn pill a mile because we're lining guys up outside the numbers and we're pushing vertically quite a bit. So that means we got to be able to throw it quite a ways. I think this guy's got a big enough arm. All right. Now, the Merklinger addition out of high school didn't make a lot of sense to me because he's not one of these guys. He doesn't have a huge arm. Nico Iamaleava fit the bill to a T. Big armed quarterback, 6'6", long, good athlete. George McIntyre fits that mold to a T. 6'6", big, long-armed quarterback that can really, really get after it with his athleticism as well. Faison Brandon fits that model. 6'4 plus, big-armed guy, good athlete with his legs. I think this guy's got a big enough arm. He does not fit the bill of those other guys, though, okay? He is not a real tall, lanky guy with great athleticism. I think he's a winnable athlete. I don't think we're designing quarterback runs for this guy, okay? And I always tell you guys, I know what a kid can and can't do based off what the quarterback or the coordinator asks him to do, right? So when I turn on the App State film and we show you the App State film tomorrow, you're going to see ball on the left hash throwing a comeback outside the numbers to the far side of the field. That's the coordinator telling me he thinks his quarterback's got a big enough arm to make big boy throws. I expect it to be big enough to play in this system. Now, the interceptions are a problem, boys. They're not just, I was trying to make a play interceptions either. I think Tennessee fans will get on social media and they will excuse the 24 interceptions away over the last 2 years and they will say this is a quarterback that was playing at App State. He was trying to be a superhero. I do see some of that on tape. But for every wow, we are competing throws, I see, wow, what the hell are you doing type throws. We can't do those things on the SEC level. He'll learn that. I do think he's got extreme competitive will, though, to a fault at times. You're not going to flush this dude from too many pockets, guys. There are so many times on that App State film where I'm like, buddy, get out of the pocket. You're about to get murdered. And he's like, nah, dog, I'm going to stand right here. I'm going to get murdered, and I'm going to still throw this ball down the field. All right? Some of that stuff, I don't want you to coach out, but some of that stuff, we got to be willing to eat it a little bit, be willing to take a little bit of sacks. I'll say this. I don't think he's as talented as Nico, but I saw this kid work through progressions at a higher rate than Nico ever dreamed of doing last year, okay? I saw a lot of this from Nico. Number one's not open. Feet become directly parallel to the line of scrimmage. Eyes are down, looking at the rush. How many plays can I make with my legs? That's what I saw a lot from Nico last year. You're not going to see that from this kid. This kid's going to go from 1 to 2 to 3 and take a damn a lick off the chin strap trying to get the ball out. We good?
Good.
Local hour coming up. I love what's coming up in the local hour. I hope it comes out as good as my mental or as I mapped it out in my head today.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
17. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back in to the Film Guy Network for a loaded local hour. The NFL Draft is coming up on Thursday, and here's what I wanted to do. All right, normally I come to this show with exhaustive notes. We got about 3,000 pages worth of show notes over there that one day maybe I categorize if anybody actually wants to read them, but there's just a bunch of jumbled shit up in there that don't make no sense to you anyways. But normally I come to this show with really, really exhaustive notes. So do the boys. We average about 8 to 9 pages worth of show notes before we come in here and turn the mics on. Today's local hour, totally different. Today's local hour, I wanted to take all 16 or 17 former Georgia Bulldogs that may or may not hear their name called this weekend in the NFL Draft, and I wanted to, off the cuff, kind of just talk through the football players the most genuine way that I could, and because I've known these guys for quite a while, most of them, and covered them all the way dating back to their high school days. So I think this will be pretty fun. You guys excited about this?
Let's do it, man.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to go through these in the order with which we expect them to be drafted as well. So you get a little bit of draft intel, as the notes say, right? Some draft projections right here for you as we go. I think the first dog off the board this weekend is going to be Jalen Walker, the edge rusher slash hybrid linebacker. Now, I'm going to take you from the start. Salisbury High School up there in North Carolina, the son of a football coach, well documented coming out of high school, how much this guy loved football, how much of a team-oriented football player he was. I think all of that checked out once he got to Georgia, right? But once he got to Georgia, it was a growth period, okay? Because when you come from high school at Salisbury and all they're doing really is asking you to rush the passer, and you're sub 6'1" and you're 245 pounds, we're going to have to make you learn how to play off-ball inside linebacker, because that's may or may not be where you end up playing when you get to the NFL level. However, I do think they projected maybe Jalen to almost like slim up a little bit. I don't think they expected Jalen Walker in high school at 220 pounds to leave the University of Georgia at 250 pounds. No. I don't think they expected that to happen. So I do think there was oh shit, we thought this guy was going to be an inside linebacker, but the best thing he does for us is get after the quarterback. So how do we do both? Well, we're going to wait until he's a junior, and we're finally going to start him, and we're going to play him at both. And it's going to make us uncomfortable. I'll never forget Kirby Smart, after the Clemson game, admitting to the uncomfortability that Jalen Walker presents to a coaching staff, okay? You have to go out of your way to play this guy at multiple positions. You have to go out of your way to play anybody at multiple positions, okay? But to do it at Georgia and to be really the first player to do it, I think kind of connoted just how special of a player and an individual Jalen Walker is and was at the University of Georgia.
Yeah, and that Clemson game was kind of the first inkling that you got this sense of, oh, wait, Jalen Walker might be on the verge of having a really, 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 really special season for Georgia. I mean, the way he played, like you said, rushing the passer. I'll never forget where he absolutely manhandles I believe it's a tackle, sets the edge, and then gets off of him immediately to tackle Cade Klubnik. Like plays like that where it's like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like if we get this for 14, 15 games, we're going to be really, really good this year. And that's exactly what you got from him.
Now that I think about it, you kind of saw the seeds getting planted against Florida State last year. I remember, or 2 years ago, I remember watching the film, and one play, he's a stand-up edge rusher. One play, he's a stand-up inside linebacker. Third down comes, he's a stand-up edge rusher getting after the quarterback. And that was I should have known then, like maybe they're going to make some room for this guy. But no, I had one of the dumbest takes in the history of this channel.
I think the one game I will always think about when I think of Jalen Carter, unfortunately, is the Kentucky game, is because he felt like the only guy that showed up that day. He was the only guy trying to make any sort of thing happen. The offense wasn't doing anything. TID did have a great game. That's a good call right there. But Jalen had a great game, and you would never know it just looking at the stat sheet because he basically didn't put up any stats whatsoever. But Brock Vandegrift was running for his life every single play because of Jalen Walker. That
word on the street is that's why he quit football.
I would have too. I would have too if Jalen Walker was running me down every single time.
That's mean. True. That's not true. He just didn't want to play anymore because Jalen Walker was hunting him down.
Hey, man. But yeah, that's what I always think of.
My favorite Jalen Walker story was at the Texas game, the first Texas game in Austin. I was at that game in the box, and the person who was, first of all, the box is packed because it's it's a top 5 matchup, first time in the SEC. The person adjacent from me, I guess, is a student reporter who goes to Austin, was very clearly like a young college kid that was a fan and is in the entire game like under their breath, like cheering for Texas. And this was the part of the time where Arch Manning comes in. He's like, oh, Arch Manning's in. Oh, here comes all that. And it's the play where Arch Manning's kind of rolling out, trying to escape to the right. And the guy's like, go Arch, go Arch. And Jalen Walker hawks him down. And the kid very clearly does not recognize who Jalen Walker is and goes, who the fuck is 11?
He should pick his nightmare.
Who's
tonight.
11?
Yeah.
Couple things about that story. If that young reporter is listening to this show today, a couple of things. Obviously, don't cheer in the press box. I'm not necessarily that worried about it because all these media members kind of lie to you anyways. They have some type of fandom.
Oh,
Most
yes.
of them do, especially if you've been in those boxes. But here's what I would say. The idea that Arch Manning's entering the game and we're not writing an article about it, buddy, fired. Don't even know you. Fired. Gone.
Didn't even have it prepped.
Get the hell out of here. Didn't even have it prepped. What are you doing? You stink. No chance you're getting hired out of college.
I don't think this person in particular was tasked with doing the live updates. I think they were doing the gamer.
Let me guess. Google Drive notes. Document up.
1,000%.
Just taking notes of, here's my drive-by-drive notes that I'm never going to
Love
go
a
back
good
and
Google
read
Doc.
again.
I'm working.
Oh, just slaving away.
I don't want to shit on the person because they're very clearly an aspiring sports journalist, but
Not for long.
come on, man. They were young. They were young and they had work to do.
Not as bad as the TCU reporters that took a stray last night on this here channel. Whoa.
I don't know their
Something
name.
about them Texas folks.
I do not want to send. I was not sending a shot in the box.
Don't you dare ever close that laptop.
That was a story about Jalen Walker.
Good story.
Let's
Thank
rehash the dumbest take ever given on this channel.
you. Okay.
I'm glad to be. I'm open to be embarrassed. Do you remember what I said exactly previous to this year? This is this time last year. Do you remember what I said?
You have no idea where the playing time is going to be for Jalen Walker.
I sat here on this show and I said, hey, Michael Williams is returning, right? Damon Wilson's returning, right? Who else? Chaz Chambliss is returning, right? Raylan Wilson's back, right? CJ Allen's back, right? Where's Jalen Walker going to play? Everywhere, Brooks. Everywhere. He's going to play everywhere. You're an idiot. Shut up. Don't give takes for a living. Michael Williams. Now, I first saw Michael Williams at 15 years old at a Chuck Smith workout. Chuck Smith now the defensive line pass rush specialist for the Baltimore Ravens. And from Jump Street, I was like, this is going to be Trayvon Walker. Like, this is who this is going to be. We just watched Trayvon go in the first round. I think this guy's going to be the next 5-star to ultimately turn in to Trayvon Walker. Little did I know he's more Jadeveon Clowney than Trayvon Walker. But everything about this player from I think he's going to be great, day one, snap one, guaranteed first-round pick.
I remember
very few of these.
I remember this was one of the first players, at least that I can recall, where, and this was still in the early stages of me working with you, where I remember you saying, like, this guy is going to start right away. He was going to be an immediate star, and he is going to be an immediate impact player, and he's going to stay that for the next 3 years. That's what I remember, like my first memory of Michael Williams, of like, this guy is going to be a dude.
It was undeniable, and you saw him.
And then you see him against Oregon.
Yeah, immediately. Game one. The thing that sold me on Michael is not just the physical profile, right? 6'5", 265. I mean, looked quintessential ready to play as a 17-year-old in high school. That was great. But what I also saw by him at Hardaway High School is you turn Michael Williams high school highlight tapes on, and what the very first thing you will notice is, Jesus, how many numbers did this kid have? He wore 24, he wore 50, he wore 55, he wore 70, he wore 11, he wore 0. Like, he was in all kinds of different numbers. And then you come to find out was because he had all kinds of different jobs every week. It was like, hey, Michael, we need you to play left tackle this week. Don't worry, coach. I'll be the best left tackle we got in this bitch. Hey, Michael, we need you to play fullback this week. Don't worry, coach. I might go for 140 today on fullback dives. Like, it was everything about this guy coming out of high school. And you take onto that, tremendous human.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous human. There's not a person on this planet that will tell you a bad thing about Michael Williams. You can't find him.
No. I mean, and I think that is such an underrated aspect of a player nowadays because there's so many character concerns with so many players. Like, Michael Williams is one of the few, like, no maintenance guys that I think you had.
And having
I think one of my favorite things No, you're fine. I think one of my favorite things too, and this happened recently. I think me and you were standing next to one another at the NFL Combine, and this is when we're doing media availability. And Michael Williams is walking in the room, and him and James Pierce are in the room at the same time. These are two guys that are kind of being paired up against one another. Of do you take Michael Williams, or some people might take James Pierce? James Pierce, after leaving Tennessee, still looks like he's 18 years old. Still has a baby face, very young man. Michael Williams walks in the room and looks like he's drawing Social Security. This man looks like he's 40 years old, a grown man, and is just like he almost towered over, it seemed like, James Pierce. And James Pierce is a big human.
I think the thing that I love most about his NFL Combine interview was when he was asked about, hey, who are some edge rushers that you study? Okay, and he starts firing off. Like most kids that get asked that question, they're going to start throwing out Micah Parsons. They're going to start throwing out all the sack artists that lead the league in sacks every year. Those weren't his immediate answers. His immediate answers were the Hendrickson kid from Cincy, the Daniil Hunters of the world, the Max Crosbys of the world. You know why?
Hell yeah.
Because they look exactly like him. He's 6'5", he's 265. He doesn't need to be studying Hassan Reddick. He doesn't need to be studying Von Miller. He needs to be studying dudes that look like him because he's a smart football player. He's a student of the game. Another story, never forget, very first press conference Kirby Smart has in August of Michael Williams' freshman year, and he starts talking about how we got this 5-star in named Michael Williams, and during spring football, I turn around, there's nobody on the field in the middle of the summer, and Michael Williams is out there hitting the sled all by himself. And that like those little things, man, they matter. They 100% matter. On to our next guy, Malachi Starks. Now, Malachi Starks' first introduction I had to Malachi Starks was actually from, this is going to sound really goofy, from Sammy Brown's little brother, Max Brown, who is a 2027 linebacker at Jefferson High School right now. All right. So obviously, Malachi comes out. The next year, 2 years after that, Sammy Brown comes out.
2 years.
Okay.
Right.
And then now Max Brown's coming out. But Max is obviously around Malachi and around Sammy during their times in high school. And I'm standing there talking to a coach about Malachi, and Max is standing next to us. Coach walks away, giving me the spiel on selling me on Malachi as if I needed to be sold. And then Max looks at me and I said, Max, what do you know about Malachi? Because obviously he's a superstar in this town that ain't so big. I hadn't moved over here yet. But I asked him, I said, Max, what do you know about Malachi? He goes, I don't know nothing about him. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I don't ever see him outside of football. He don't party. He don't come around. He just, all he cares about is football. That's the only time I see him is around football. He don't, at the time, vaping had just been, he don't vape. He don't play video games. He just loves ball. That's it. And you talk to everybody in the town, that's all you get. Guy loves ball, and he loves his girlfriend, who he's now married to. Sold. Oh, and by the way, set state records in the triple jump. And he's a sub-11 second 100-meter runner. And played quarterback in high school, too.
My first introduction to Malachi Starks was an introduction that I didn't even realize was about Malachi Starks until like a few years later. I had a buddy that was playing in the rec league, and they played in the Jefferson. This is like 8th grade basketball. And I remember talking to him one weekend, and he was like, dude, we played over at Jefferson the other day. They got this 8th grader over there. He's dunking the basketball at 8th grade. His name's Malachi. He's like, I have no idea who this kid is, but
crazy
good God.
Thing is, he's only like 5'10".
Yeah.
Not
and he's yamming.
In 8th grade.
Yeah. Most middle school dunkers are like 6'6". They look like Stretch over here. God just made them to dunk. They didn't earn it. Okay. Malachi Starks, could you dunk, by the way?
Yeah. Of course I could.
Yeah.
I did put in some work on the Vertimax.
Vanilla Thunder over there?
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't dunk.
Huh?
I couldn't dunk.
I couldn't dunk. I slap backboard. Slap a mean backboard. You know? Back in the day. I don't think I can still touch backboard.
I still get
not without tearing something up. But anyways, loved Malachi coming out of high school. I think I want to watch his tape. Do we have that pulled up? Because my comparison, it's not there anymore because he doesn't strike as much as this guy. My comparison coming out of high school for Malachi was Eric Berry. Very similar high school tapes if you watch them. Berry played at Creekside High School. They're running the veer triple option. He's the quarterback and he's moonlighting as a safety. It reminds me a whole hell of a lot of what we're about to watch if my memory serves me correct. Jay Will, can you still dunk?
I haven't tried in a long time.
That's a no. That's a no. Here we go. Rocking the 2-4 as a quarterback. Gotta love that.
Shout out to
Gotta love that. Rocking the 2-4 as a QB. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, no, it's not Sam. You're going to see some elite speed right here. You're going to see some elite speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy. We gassing. He looked thicker in high school than he does in college, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't know. I think he looks...
Maybe he just had bigger thigh pads.
He probably
Yeah, we juicy. This is in a state championship game, by the way. Yeah.
Good
Same
Lord.
note. Yeah, buddy. We out here balling, cuz.
Jeez.
How did
overhand swipe with the ball and a hurdle?
That's a
oh, my God.
penalty.
Ooh.
How'd this kid not go to Georgia Tech?
Now, here's one thing that was really, really hard for me, all right, as an evaluator. Had no midfield safety clips. Like every clip we ever see of him is going to be either as a ball carrier or this right here, where we're in the extended box area. We're the best player on our team, so they're going to put us close to the ball as we possibly can. Don't see a lot of coverage ability, right?
Yeah.
Where that's the first thing he did at Georgia. Got on the field as a nickel cover corner, right? Covering Brock Bowers in fall camp. Immediately as soon as he got there, it's something they had to project based off what they saw in fall camp. Or rather, in summer camp when they had him on campus. Yeah, we get some I'm chunking this shit clip right here. Watch this.
God, he looks like Mike Vick.
Pew.
How the hell is that kid that open? Holy.
Nobody found him. All right, now we're going to get scrambled. Do we get a spin into the pill right here, too? Nah, we're going to take off and run on this one. Ugh.
I mean, this
This
looks
is
like...
literally me playing with my Road to Glory character.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Michael Vick tape. That's Michael Vick Virginia Tech tape.
One thing I also love about Malachi's like growth as an athlete was it's so hard to be everything that people told you were going to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like to come from a town like Jefferson, to be a 6'1", 200-pounder, and the world tell you from when you're 13 to now that you're going to be great, and you ultimately meet up to all those expectations and more, and do it all with tremendous morality. Same thing with Michael Williams. I think that's just extra boxes that we're checking, right? It's a great human, too. That's what we just laid out for you guys. A great human as well. I saw him at the spring game and talked to him actually about going down there and being with Gruden for like 4 days. Said he just couldn't get enough of it. And do you know why?
Why?
Because he loves ball. He said, I love that he loves ball. There's no way to be around John Gruden without feeling the juice that this dude loves what I love. This guy loves ball.
Old Chucky.
Jared Wilson. First ever my guy.
First ever
my guy. Jared Wilson.
Would you say that's panned out?
Yeah.
Hard to judge because he didn't start as many games.
He's going to be one of the highest ranked drafted centers.
Oh, no, it panned out.
Yeah.
It makes me look like a genius, but I wish I would have seen it more at Georgia.
One of those players that, and now the circumstances, everything makes sense on how things unfolded, considering that Cedric Van Pran was here, so he's a starter, and then Jared Wilson, considering what the center market is in the NFL draft this year, it feels he made the right decision to go, but it feels like it's always going to be a player, especially as you watch his NFL career unfold, of like, man, I wish we got more out of that guy. Like, I wish we could have gotten multiple years of Jared Wilson being the starting center.
Yeah, and I mean, the athleticism you saw from him was always there. It was always kind of like, man, he is going to be a really special player, and he ended up being that for 1 year for you.
You'd think this live chat was going on in the middle of October after the game in Austin. I mean, good Lord. Longhorn fans and Dog fans getting after it at
like
each other.
Back in December heading into the SEC championship game.
We're getting close, man.
Sheesh. Keep going. Y'all be friendly in there, though. I do want to make sure that the base here, that Georgia base, ain't bullying other fans up out of this, all right? Because it's good stuff. Every college football fan deserves to be here on this channel.
Absolutely.
Don't be running them out.
Do you remember when we started first doing National Hour and we'd get like other teams come in here talking shit?
Yeah.
And then they would just kick them? It's like, no, guys, keep them in.
Don't kick them.
This is a Georgia chat.
We got a plan here, guys. We're trying to grow.
Dogs only.
Yeah, we do more dogs content than anybody not named Brandon Adams. So y'all get enough good dog content.
Yeah. But no, back to Jared Wilson. I think that he was the epitome of what you would want in an athletic center.
Yeah.
And obviously the position doesn't allow you to make many wow plays or have any wow moments. You're not going to have the Malachi Starks interception. You're not going to have some of these other plays. But he was, from what I always remember him being for the 11 games he started for you, one of the most reliable components of the offensive line in a year where you had a pretty turbulent play from the team.
I think Jared has a chance to be a better pro than he did in college.
Oh, for sure.
Just because they're going to allow him to do more things.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to use his athleticism at a higher rate than Georgia did. So I'm proud to call him the first ever my guy. He went on and did the damn thing. Tate Ratledge on the board up here, been dodging us. Okay, supposed to have been in studio for a fat minute now. He's hiding behind Stretch over there. You can't quite see him. He's supposed to be on the stage at some point. He keeps ducking us. He ain't ducking us. He's just busy.
Yeah, he's about to get drafted.
I get it. Now, this one's special to me because he was 2020 signing class.
Yes.
That signing class, I did a Twitter thread of a film breakdown of every single commit in one thread. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember this.
A lot of people tell me this is their first exposure to me.
Yeah. I mean, that was right when you had hired me too. So I was still in that stage of trying to figure out what the flow is over here. How do we handle things over here and whatnot? But I would say that was my first introduction of not only you as like, so now I had followed you on Twitter before that, but I think that was definitely my first true introduction to, oh, this isn't just some guy that covers college football because he loves college football. This is a guy that covers college football and knows the game very well at a level that most people in this industry don't.
Yeah, I think my first introduction to Tate was unfortunately probably the Clemson game of 2021 when he got injured. I hadn't followed UGA recruiting super closely. I was well aware of the team and everything like that, but I wasn't necessarily like tapped into who's who, where this player's playing. So when I saw him going, because he got carted off, I believe, for his Liz Frank entry, I remember thinking, my God, that is a college football player.
Yeah.
The mustache, the tats, the mullet. I mean, it was like I fell in love for the first second. I was like, this guy could never even play another down for Georgia, and I will follow him for the rest of the time simply because of the way he looked.
Do any of you remember what number he wore before 69?
It was 71, wasn't it?
No, you're close though.
70?
No. It's close in the sense of you got one of the numbers right, but it's not 7.
It was 61?
Down another 10. He wore number 51 before he wore number 69.
Shout out Malachi Tolliver.
Oh yeah, he was number 69 too. It was like this is a creative player.
My first introduction to him was the idea that star offensive lineman was coming out of Darlington. Like, if you don't know high school football in the state of Georgia, you probably never heard of Darlington. Even if you do know high school football in the state of Georgia, you've probably never heard of Darlington Preparatory Academy. It's up there in Rome, Georgia, where he's from. It is a boarding school. Okay, it is not known for producing football players, so much so that your boy took a straight dub off of them in a playoff game in high school. That's the only reason I know of who they are. But anyways, I remember watching him and knowing that he was a high school convert from the tight end position. His first 2 years in high school,
and punted.
He was playing tight end. He was a punter, and all that stuff was very well documented. And I thought this was going to be a plug-and-play right tackle. I thought this was going to be a guy that come into Georgia as a top 150 player and survive at right tackle. And the reason I thought that is because I watched him closely at the Adidas All-American game, and he's handling guys like Brian Brzee, and he's handling some of these high-end high school defensive ends that what I didn't know, they were all going to kick inside, right? Brian Brzee ends up being a defensive tackle, all right? So if you're athletic enough to block him, that's fine. But he ain't going to be what you're blocking in college. And Tate, to his credit, admitted that day one. He got on campus during January and February, and he's doing off-season player-led, one-on-one drills. And Nolan Smith and Azeez Ojulari and Trayvon Walker are beating his brains in. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I'm a guard. Maybe I'm a guard. So kicks into guard, by his redshirt freshman year, starting against Clemson, and then obviously has the injury.
I think that his upbringing at Georgia was so unique because he got to Georgia in this time where football players were doing content while also being on the football team. So you kind of got to peel back the curtain and get to know Tate Ratledge off of the football field as well. So it kind of felt like he truly connected with fans while he was here because he did have a podcast and fans were getting to listen to him talk all the time. Yeah. And he was a big, meaningful contributor on the field.
I didn't even think about that, how he is kind of the first trailblazer in the Georgia football space of kind of being a content creator.
I would say he's the only. Like the other guys just moonlighted in it.
Well, as of now, he's the only one.
Yeah.
Like Brett Thorson's kind of dabbled in it. Julian Humphrey did.
Malachi Starks did.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him.
You completely missed one.
The TikTok joke?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Julian
Was that a TikTok joke? Anyways, only media member to ever be on his podcast.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was fun.
It's kind of crazy to think about that looking back.
Yeah.
Very
two active Georgia players sitting down with a media member not admiring his work, but connoting his work.
Like
crazy.
The fact that happened was just wild.
It's a good interview.
Oh, I know.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. But what I did learn about that, and I kind of thought Georgia players listened to this show. I didn't know they watched it. That he kind of made a joke about the Oregon game.
Yeah.
And wasn't necessarily happy with me pointing out his flaws. And then at the end of it, he was like, but you were right. Mm-hmm. I didn't play great. And he ends up going on and being one of the better starters for Georgia for 3 years.
Yeah, I think he said he saw you were live, clicked on it, and you in that moment you were crapping on him. He's like, screw this. I ain't watching none of this bull crap.
Fuck this guy. But yeah, it was a bad game against Oregon. It was not ideal.
Had many, many great games.
Yeah, he did. His best game, I thought, was Kentucky. And then he gets hurt.
Yeah, man.
He was dominating in the first part of that Kentucky football.
I think the play, though, that all Georgia fans will remember, or at least I will remember, is him and Amarius Mims body slamming the Tennessee Volunteer football
That was pretty cool.
Little choke slam going on right there. All right, on to our next one. By the way, I don't care if this runs 15 minutes long tonight, boys. We're going to give these guys their due. Smile Mandon, we think is going to be the next Georgia football player drafted. I think the NFL is going to love this guy.
If he stays healthy, he's going to be one of the most solid NFL players out of this class.
So, fun fact, me and my man Chase Reichenbach, shout out to Chase Reichenbach, we shot his commitment video at Paulding County High School all the way back in the day. And this is what I'll never forget. So, first of all, family of immigrants is Smile Mandon. I think he's first generation American. Parents, I want to say, are Honduran or African, maybe? Yeah. Either way, I'll never forget this because dad's a doctor. Mom is a very successful professional as well. And that's all I knew about him. And he's a 5-star linebacker when I went out there to interview him and sit down with him and talk about his commitment video. And I show up to Paulding County High School. Coach Spence, who's now the head coach at East Paulding High School, Coach Spence sits me down. He's like, hey, man, sorry, Smile's a little late. Like, why Smile late? Being on time is kind of important. Why Smile late? Well, he's still working at Little Caesars. He'll be over here in a little bit.
Whoa.
Dude was shoveling pizza as a 5-star linebacker with a dad who's a doctor. It ain't common. That's not common. All right. Most 5-stars that I go see are late because they were doing something that doesn't connote success. You know what I mean? So that off rip was like, whoa, different cat. All right. Different individual. On top of the fact, most muscle mass I've ever seen on an 18-year-old kid. That dude's biceps. On the commitment photo, we got him doing ropes, and his damn biceps look like a horse's calf. Mm-hmm. They're huge at like 18 years old, 17 years old. So those are the things that I remember about players like that. Like just how down to earth a dude who's not supposed to be down to earth is. And nowadays that story never happens because nowadays all the 5-stars got hundreds of thousands of dollars from their agent in some fancy freaking car.
One of the few football players that ever had pretty good attendance in a class that I had with football players. Yeah. I would say he was there 90% of the time, 85% of the time. He'd always come in with a dead phone, and I plug it in for him because he was on crutches. So I'd say, I'll plug it in for you, bro. Don't worry about it.
Dead phone. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had 2 of them. So one of them was charged, I guess. The other one was never charged. So
hell yeah.
Always needed it plugged in. But yeah.
Yeah, he's also one of the few players on this list that I got a chance to hang out with and be around outside of just the media. And always, like you said, super down-to-earth guy. Just one of the people that you didn't have the aura of, oh, this is someone who feels important what they are, but just hang out and talk to you like it was. And by the way, damn good linebacker for the University of Georgia.
Introverted by nature.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to be seen. Doesn't care for the spotlight.
No.
He's a baller. Absolute baller. On to our next baller, Dylan Fairchild. Another commitment video I was involved in helped shooting. It's kind of a trend.
I believe this Dylan Fairchild was the first ever recruiting article I ever wrote for Dogs Daily.
How about that?
First ever one. I remember writing it, talking about him being a 2-time state champion wrestler.
Undefeated.
How that was going to translate to him being a really good offensive lineman, and it certainly did translate to him being a really good offensive lineman.
Yeah, tremendous core strength on this dude. Never leaning, except for first snaps of football games. He tends to end up on his face.
I think my introduction to him was probably the 2023 Vanderbilt game when he came in and or was in that game. I thought that was one of his better performances. And that kind of put him on the map for me of like, oh man, this is a legitimately strong, very, very good offensive lineman.
So I was predisposed to him at a higher rate than any other commit because at the time there was another Georgia commit that was maybe a sophomore or a junior that I was helping out watching film together. So we would watch film on full huddles, not clips. I'm not talking about highlights. We had the full huddle, watching all 22, the full game. And we ended up watching West Forsyth versus this kid that I was helping, ends up at Georgia, playing really, really well right now, helping him go through the film. And I'm actually like, after I get done with the Zoom of helping this kid out, evaluating what's going on their next opponent, I start watching Dylan on huddle, and I think it hurt me on his eval because I had a full picture of him. Whereas most of these kids, I'm just watching the highlight. And I'm watching Dylan snaps 1 through 70 in a football game. It's a total different eval than just watching the highlights of a kid. So I think I was a little bit, predisposed to him, and the idea that I was picturing him as a tackle in college, knowing that it wasn't going to work. Like, you're going to have to kick in, and that dinked my, does that make sense? Dinked my eval on him just a little bit, because we're talking about top 100 players. That's what he was. And most top 100 players at a high school tackle are going to stick a tackle when they get to college. This was not going to be one of those. Too heavy-footed to be a tackle, but is a violent guard. Really strong. Probably, if it's not Micah Morris, probably pound for pound the strongest dude on Georgia's roster the last couple of days, or last couple of years.
Yeah. I believe that was said multiple times about him.
NFL loved him before this year. I think they kind of faded on him.
Him and Tate, they kind of faded a little bit.
On to our next guy, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. Now, my first, not person-to-person interaction with Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, but my first ever, people read everything and watch everything that we do, and we should think about that when we do this. I did a depth chart projection when Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins just got onto campus, and I put him as a nose tackle. Because in high school, he was 305 pounds at Gaffney, South Carolina. He was a big D tackle. He gets to Georgia, loses 30 pounds, and starts playing defensive end, something I never thought was going to happen for this football player. Again, go watch the Gaffney tape. He's a big football player that I thought was only going to get bigger. He got thinner, more athletic, and much, much better in high school or in college than he was in high school.
I instantly fell in love with TID. Like 2 years ago, when he actually started getting some burn at Georgia, that guy was wreaking havoc. It seemed like every single play. He just couldn't quite stay healthy, and he dealt with some injuries. But, man, I mean, that was a player that I was continuously buying stock in. Like, I just wanted it to hit so bad. And he had a great career at Georgia, but I think I was so happy to see him do well at the NFL Combine, because it kind of really felt like this final moment of this guy is finally getting some love in the light that he has deserved for so long at Georgia, that I felt like.
It's one of those where you feel proud of, but you're also like, man, it could have been so much better through no fault of his own. Like, this is a guy that we talked about, like, had SEC coaches saying, Mykel Williams left, but this guy's just as good. Changed the absolute trajectory of that 2023 football game for Florida. And
it's all Phil Moffa's fault.
Was it Phil Moffa?
If Phil Moffa doesn't cut Mykel Williams in that Clemson game, Mykel Williams starts and plays every single game this year, and the NFL has none the wiser about number 93 from Georgia. But he goes and puts on elite tape against, Kent State and then Kentucky, and then it's like, oh shit, this might be a third-round draft pick. And by the way, he's going to run 4.72 at the Combine and jump 36 inches. Come on now. Top 70 player. That's what he's going to end up being this year. Another Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins story. How about Buddy not practicing all of the 2023 season, hurt with a foot injury, walks into Kirby Smart's office the week of the bye week going up against Florida and says, Coach, it's eating me alive right now. I'm going to have surgery on my foot anyways. So if the damn ligament pops on me because I'm playing football, then it pops on me and I'll go get the surgery immediately. But I have to play football. I am itching to get back onto the field. Practices during the bye week. First time in 7 weeks that he's practiced, basically. Goes out to Florida, strip sack, third play of the game.
Yep. Change the trajectory of that game.
Yeah.
Like
the reason you probably won it, honestly.
The reason things got rolling. Yeah. For sure. And
then was that Eric Stokes' pick six game?
Oh, no, that's 2020.
Okay.
This is Lad McConkey's cross the middle turnaround.
Yep.
Dom Lovett had a really good game.
Is that Brock Bowers' circle catch game?
No, that's 2022.
Yeah.
Just jumbling them all together.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember all the butt whoopings.
Well, the home and away thing helps me with all the other opponents.
Yeah.
That one game.
The jersey color.
Yeah, that one game
white jerseys
being in Jacksonville, that bothers me mentally.
There were white jerseys in that game.
Thank you.
There were red jerseys last year.
Warren Brinson. I will always remember him as the guy they had in the class with Jalen Carter.
I don't want to out him. I would always remember him. And I don't want to out him as this, but always a pleasure to be around downtown.
Yeah.
just a fun dude.
Just a fun dude.
He does always give good vibes.
Now that you say that, might have bumped into Warren Brinson several times doing man on the street.
I do. There was a time you and me were there and you're like, oh, there's Warren. You're like, hey, what's up, Brooks? He's got a big chain on. He's wearing shades. It's like 9:30 p.m.
Put the camera down. Put the camera down.
No, he wasn't even. He was like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Trying to make some content.
Yeah.
Like, oh, word.
Looks like you are too tonight. But no, I'm with you. Warren Brinson, life of the party.
Yeah, just
in every room, life of the room. Big boisterous personality. I will remember him as the guy who probably should have broke the record for TFLs.
God, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
My
2023
he
especially.
lived in the back.
Felt like he should have broke the record for TFLs. Just couldn't finish.
Yeah, if he made every single play he had the opportunity to, this guy's a first-round draft pick.
Ain't no doubt about it,
She
dude.
would have been ridiculous.
Ain't no doubt about
Lived
it.
in the backfield in 2023.
I think if he wore skill position cleats too, he might look a little bit more athletic. He wear them boat shoes. You notice that?
Yeah.
Dude got offensive lineman cleats on. Warren, come on, dog. Put some skill cleats on. People are going to think you're a athlete. Love Warren, though. I think he's going to be a 4th, 5th round draft pick, career veteran in the league.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, just a joy in your locker room, too, man. Like, in a world in the NFL where it's very much so business, there's not a lot of camaraderie around, you bring Warren Brinson in your room and people are going to laugh a lot more.
Yeah.
People are going to have a lot more fun doing their job. Trevor Etien, a one and done here at the University of Georgia.
One of the more effective one and dones you've had. I mean, like, from the impact that they made on the team alone, like Trevor Etien, you could say was a major foundation of the culture of this team. I mean, you don't beat Texas twice without him.
Chat's pointing out they don't ever recall seeing a Florida fan in here. One thing I do know about this network is it attracts people who are seeking ball knowledge. You like that one, didn't you, Jay Will?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I thought Trevor, his year at Georgia is not going to look as a success, but those people are box score scouting.
Yes.
If you watch Trevor Etienne's all 22 this year, you will come away with it thinking the same thing I did. Dude did not miss a hole. Dude maximized carries at a high rate. That's what
Absolutely.
I thought. Yeah.
One of the coolest interviews I've ever gotten to do, of listening to him talk after the SEC championship game, it was just a really cool feeling for me to be there and listen to him talk about how he had basically finally achieved what he had longed for during his entire college football career. And I'll never forget him saying, this might not mean a lot to a lot of people around here, but this SEC championship win means everything to me. He said, this is what I came here to do. This is what I've wanted to accomplish since the moment I committed to an SEC school. He said, so winning this football game is everything to me. I thought that was just really cool to hear him say that.
I played 19 seasons of organized football. I don't have a ring. Do you?
I got some youth league trophies. But
I'm talking about we get a state title, a national title, or a conference title in meaningful football. I don't have one.
No.
I think that's the case with 98% of people who play organized sports. You don't ever reach that. Most people. So I'm with him. I would have been ecstatic.
Yeah.
And he played like it meant that to him. I think a lot of people forget, And I tried to get him to admit it at the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
And he ducked it. Do you remember what he said? I asked him, because Kirby was talking leading up to that football game, how banged up he was, how bad his ribs were, and how he didn't feel very good. And he talks about it in the post game, about how this guy, it meant a ton to him. He was going to play in this football game, even if he wasn't 100%, which he wasn't 100%. And I gave him the opportunity to talk about it at the NFL Combine in front of a microphone and tons of cameras. And he said, I was 100% healthy. He was not even going to give it. He was not even going to give the quote of, yeah, I'm tough. I played through it. No, you can go get my recommendations on that. You can get the recs from other people. I'm not going to be the one bragging about it. I loved that about him as well.
Yeah.
On to our next one, Nas Stackhouse. Now,
The pick six it should have been. That's how I remember Nas Stackhouse.
You talked about the first recruiting commitment story you ever wrote.
Yeah.
This was the first player I ever went to a high school and interviewed. I went to Columbia High School in DeKalb County and interviewed Nas Stackhouse. And this was almost the invention of wife scouting to me. Because I'm walking around the halls of Columbia High School and I'm looking for this Nas Stackhouse guy. And here comes this big 6'4", 315-pound mountain of a human. And I'm like, Coach, you ain't even got to tell me. That's him right there, ain't it? That's Nas Stackhouse. What? Yep, that's him. And from Jump Street, the personality, the type of human, the smile. Now, did I know that he was going to go on and become a TikTok influencer at the time? No, I didn't know I was going to go on and be a college football influencer at the time. I thought I was just going to be fighting and doing construction the rest of my life, to be honest with you. But I do remember sitting down with him, and at the time, it was his third high school, I think. And this was before transfer portal. If you had somebody going to multiple high schools back in the day, that was red flag 101. Like it was, hey, we got to find out what's going on here. And I remember asking him about it. I said, hey, man, like why are we switching high schools so much? And his answer, I actually talked about this with him at Pro Day. His answer was, my mom has to keep moving for jobs. His mom at the time was in management, working her way up management with Kroger, and she was bouncing around from store location to store location, and as a single mother had to bring Nas and his little brother with him. So they were moving schools left and right. Makes sense. I remember bringing this up to him at Pro Day, and he actually let me know that he was flying his mom in and getting her a private car to come to Pro Day and watch her son go on to be an NFL football player.
Hell yeah.
That shit's awesome.
Moment.
That shit's awesome.
Yeah.
And a really, really good football player. I think it's one that's stock's actually kind of rising right now because after Kenneth Grant, who's the best nose tackle in this draft?
I mean, they'll tell you Mason Graham, but he's not true nose.
Yeah, he's a 3-tech. That's a D tackle. I'm talking about a true can play the shade. This is one of the best available in this draft. Now, he's not going to get drafted in the top 90.
No.
But he's going to be a 4th-round pick, I think. So there's that. Arian Smith. I remember Arian Smith for having the fastest highlight tape I've ever seen in my life. There's a play where he runs down a pick, and he's like, it's ungodly. He's the fastest human I've ever seen on a high school tape.
The first introduction to a player running track and playing football. Like really one of the only ones it felt like, especially under Kirby Smart, where you were allowed to play multiple sports while also playing football and then ultimately committing to just playing football.
I mean, there's very little that you have to say about Arian Smith that Georgia fans don't already know. I mean, the speedster, the fact that he could take the top off of basically any defense, had some really, really great moments. You don't win the 2022 Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl without him. There's a couple of games that you don't win without him playing an impact in. But I think my favorite Arian Smith story was probably on a bus. Because obviously, you know, players ride buses as well to get around campus. It's probably 8:50 in the morning. My 8 a.m. class had just ended. I think Georgia had just finished their workouts, and he's riding to wherever he is. I'm sitting.
Could have used some Mando, huh?
Probably. Are we still doing that?
No, I just figured we slide it in.
All right. Well, congratulations, man. You got a free hat. But a group of guys who are younger
still doing that?
Are younger than me sit in the back corner. And they're looking at his bag because, you know, they have the tags on that's Arian Smith. And they're kind of nudging each other like, oh, that's, you know. And Arian just kind of looks up and, like, shakes his head and goes, just like, please.
Don't do that right now.
It's too early for this.
Yeah, and that's honestly, like, one of my favorite stories. And, like, he gets them, he's like, have a good day, y'all. Like, just stuff like that where you see them be human beings in interaction is so much fun.
I think Arian Smith was the first and only kid that Todd Monken recruited.
Probably.
To be honest with you. Because I'd never heard another player other than Marcel Reed talk about Todd Monken's recruiting. Todd Monken has been recruiting. You know what Todd Monken did? Todd Monken showed Arian Smith every single Deshaun Jackson clip from 2018 Tampa that he could find. This is what I'm going to do with you. And then he took like 5 of those guys, the next 5 classes. Yeah. It was the CJ Smiths of the world. If you ran Anthony Evans, if you ran sub 10.5 and you moonlighted as a wide receiver in high school, Todd Monken was getting your ass on the roster.
One of the most, unfortunately, polarizing careers at Georgia. But by God, 10 years from now, most people are just going to be talking about those high moments that he had in those playoff games.
History will be much kinder to everyone on this list.
Yeah, so just
now. One of our few, I'm not going to call him a disappointment. It just didn't live up to what we thought it was going to be. Dominic Lovett.
Yeah.
Finishes his career at Georgia with, I think, maybe a total of 1,600 yards. Not even that.
Yeah, probably not
maybe like 1,200 yards.
About that. But again, was a very, very solid player for you. I never felt like there was a moment where it's like, man, the team is worse because Dominic Lovett's on, or we're in a worse situation with Dominic Lovett on the field.
Yeah.
And not only that, like, was a very fun personality to be around. Was a very good teammate. You never heard anyone say anything bad about him. He would come to the Ramsey Center a lot and work out and play basketball with him. Everyone seemed to be enjoying him. Like, we talked about the NFL Combine interview. Like, he is far and away our favorite interview from that. Just a great personality.
Yeah.
And also was basically a stamp for, hey, you're going to have 600 receiving yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns out of this guy. And was there every time you needed him. I mean, I think back to the Georgia Tech game in 8 overtimes. Like, you don't win that game without Dom Lovett.
Facts. Xavier Truss. Talk about a veteran. This dude played in like 42 football games at Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody. By the way, highest rated player ever out of the state of Rhode Island. Did you know that?
I did know that.
I forgot he's from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
A big man to be coming out of a very small state.
Yeah. Pops definitely sounds like he's from Rhode Island, by the way. Pops. And you see why Xavier's 6'8". Growing to be 6'12". Pops is like 6'6".
6'12".
He's a big dude. Yeah, he'd be big. He big. He growing.
Wouldn't that just be?
No. You're not a 7-footer. You're Kevin Durant at that point. You're 6'12".
There's a difference.
There is.
Apparently, all right.
There is. Serviceable. Played a lot of games at the University of Georgia, and I think from an NFL draft perspective, there's only so many football players that we know exactly what he is, right? I know exactly what Xavier Truss is. He's my 3rd offensive tackle on any 53-man roster tomorrow. Draft that guy, get him on your football team, and you'll have a serviceable player for a long time.
3rd guard, too. Shit.
Yeah, he could be a 3rd guard, too.
And thank God you had him for so many years, because for every year that he elected to come back and play another season for Georgia, there was always a need for Xavier Truss to be playing at a different position and filling out another spot for someone else that got hurt.
Oh, you just reminded me. When Xavier Truss returned to the University of Georgia this past year, does anybody remember what the narrative was?
He sucks.
Oh my God, he's going to cost us Monroe Freeling. And guess who Georgia fans are shitting down the neck of every time they get a chance right now? Monroe Freeling. Isn't that funny how that works? I want to watch this guy's highlight tape. Dan Jackson. I want to watch West Hall. I want to watch what everybody missed. North Hall. Is there a West Hall?
There's a North Hall, there's a East Hall, there's a West Hall.
Hell yeah. South Hall.
South Hall used to be my former high school, but now it's a middle school. Now it's known as Johnson High School.
Got the rundown of Hall County from my man.
Shout
Jay
out,
Will.
baby, the Roots.
Shout out. Now, this is him playing at DeKalb County School, so if he takes off on this field, Buddy got juice. All right, Buddy got juice. That's him playing Cedar Grove right there, I can already tell you. All right, so let's see here. Oh, we got triple option back stuff right here. Yeah, that's definitely Dan Jackson. He still runs the same exact way. Yeah, Coach at Furman, what are you doing? Coach at Wofford, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, you take it for 80 against Cedar Grove at this time, buddy, you got go. You can run. This is Athens teams. Academy, though. I understand this. This is lesser than football for most people.
Good Lord.
He put on some weight in college. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, he got much bigger. This is the last true walk-on story at the University of Georgia, by the way. This is it.
This is it.
This is the last one. Everybody else is PWOs. Everybody else should have been playing at Memphis. Everybody else should have been playing at Houston. All right? This guy is the last one to just walk on campus and be like, you know what? Rudy this bitch.
I'll give it a try.
I'll give it a shot. I'll go be a hitting dummy and start by year 2. It wouldn't be bad, would it?
No.
Are we going to see some striker here? No, we're going to see a play on the ball. And we cribbing this? Yeah, we are. No, we're not. We got Hawk. Hawk just a little bit by Cedar Grove.
Here's East Hall.
Thank you. Strike. Doof. That I've seen that hit 1,000 times in a red and black uniform.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And we got a little wing back action right here. Are we going to catch a ball? Oh, he's a hands-up guy? Huh?
Jeez.
How did you stay up for that?
Don't get caught.
Yeah, not getting caught by a big fat white guy. No chance. All right, that's good tape. I'm surprised that ended up at Georgia as a walk-on, but it happens like that quite often, I guess, at the University of Georgia. 5th round pick, easy. Easy.
I hope so. He deserves it.
I
He
hope so
deserved
too.
it.
Chaz Chambliss.
The White Wolf.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I think.
First ever high school football game I called on television. Chaz Chambliss, Carrollton, MJ Morris.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a name nobody remembers. MJ Morris. Whatever happened?
I don't know.
Where's
Let's
he
find
at?
out.
He's got to still be on a roster somewhere.
My favorite Chaz Chambliss players, I think, was like the first national introduction you saw was in the Orange Bowl late in that fourth quarter game when he got ejected. I don't even remember who the running back was, but he just crucified a kid. And ever since I was like, oh, this guy's got some nastiness to him. If you're playing on Georgia's defense like this, you got some nastiness. The tattoo got a lot of unfair hate, but will always go down, I think, as one of the more solid members of your defense.
MJ Morris played at Maryland last season.
Did he play?
Yeah, he played.
Okay.
Just a little bit. I don't think he started.
Okay. It was Carrollton versus East Coweta. This would have been 2019. I was on, what was that, streamcity.org? It's a site that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
He was wearing 33, playing off-ball linebacker. And I was thinking, you know what? You'd be hell at Mike linebacker for Michigan State. Little did I know he was going to be hell at outside linebacker for Georgia.
Just always terrifying to be around.
Yeah.
Just
number 1 dark alley team.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 1 draft pick, 1-1. Your doppelganger. What do you got on him?
Ben Yurosek.
Yeah, not the other guy.
The one and only.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Yurosek?
I love how what are your thoughts on Yurosek? I think
He's your brother.
He's not my brother. Can't be a doppelganger and brother at the same time, but
they'd be twins.
Right.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Anyhow, Ben Yurosek came in. I think everyone had kind of similar reactions to this might not be working out for us. And some people were much more boisterous about that than others. And, the common consensus was this guy might not be ready to play SEC ball. This might have been a miss for Georgia scouting as far as transfers go. And he kept coming up, he kept playing, and he kept putting his head down to the point where he was one of the more reliable players you had towards the back end of the season. I don't think that Ben Yurosek was ever going to be a wow star player, and I don't think he was that. But when you needed him in the back half of the season, he was there. And the progression from week 1 to week 13 was a lot of fun to watch from that.
I think the industry did him a disservice a little bit of this guy transfers to Georgia, and I remember our initial reaction was, this is a little interesting, getting a Stanford tight end very late in the transfer portal cycle as well, and didn't play a whole lot last year because he was injured, so it kind of felt like just a depth piece because you knew that you had Oscar Delp and you had Lawson Lucky, and then all of a sudden you start hearing these rumblings of this is going to be the next great NFL tight end out of the University of Georgia. This guy
Shout
has
out Jim
pop.
Nagy.
And I think people just kind of ran with that. And the expectations went from here all the way up to here within a matter of weeks. And then the start to his season, it was like, well, this guy sucks. Why would we ever take him? He needs to be out. And I was glad that he ended the season the way he did because I felt like that there obviously was going to be some adjustment for him because you're going to a completely different conference, and at the same time you're coming back from injury as well. So like this is your first time really playing football in a while. So I was glad that he ended the season the way he did.
Before we wrap up the show, I want to address some super chubs from tonight. Bennett Spears says, sorry to go back to a national topic, but do you think Arkansas and Tennessee could or will sue the Iamaleava brothers for breach of contract? I think this is a lot of bully talk. I think it's a lot of an easy PR win. No, this is no different to me than the dude in Ohio saying that we're going to make it illegal to plant flags. Like, you can't go out and do this right now. There's no collective bargaining. There's no real contracts. This is impossible. This is just an Arkansas AD getting bonus points from his fan base, in my opinion. Ken from Cumming says, absolutely love the show. I'm still back. No comments. Just keep talking ball. P.S. Tell Kirby to smile more often.
Oh, that's a new critique.
Hey, how are we feeling about the Texas defensive tackle room? Big dog. This comes from Splendid Daddy. He spent a lot of money. We'll see. Appreciate you guys for being here. We'll see you next time.